radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Good evening. Fade to Black. Bespoke Radio for the masses. Yeah, man. How you doing? Today's Tuesday, December 22nd, 2020. 357 days into the new year. Only 9 days left. Only 3 days. 3 days until Christmas, man. Rock and roll. We are live from a bunker somewhere in the middle of beautiful downtown Burbank, California. And I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States. Hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black. For KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and KGRA, the planet, I am your host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking, everybody? How you doing? How you doing? Last night, Ryan Sprague, right here, right? Tonight, James Fox. James Fox is here. We're going to be talking about his new film, The Phenomenon. And you just know, because I'm sure you've seen the film. And if you haven't seen it, you need to go and see it. It's right there. It's on Amazon. But you just know we'll be talking about TTSA tonight out of the gate. Tomorrow night, live from the UK, Ronnie Dugdale is here. Yeah, his contribution to John Burroughs' new book, The Weaponization of UAP, absolutely incredible. So looking forward to that, finally getting Ronnie on the show. 2 first-time guests this week, right? Ryan last night, Ronnie tomorrow night. I love that. Love that when that happens. Okay. Oh, what was I? Thursday night, of course, is Christmas Eve, and it's Fader night. So we're going to spend our Christmas Eve with all of you. It's going to be great. Lots to talk about. It's Christmas. It's Christmas. Let me tell you something. I'm going to say this. 2 things out of the gate. One, this is one of the reasons why I love China. And I'm going to show this to you right here. This is a clip-on guitar tuner. Okay? You clip it on the top of your guitar on the headstock, and then it picks up the vibration, and you can tune your guitar, right? Look at that. Tiny, cool, great screen, works, right? Works perfectly, right? Isn't that nifty? $5. Free delivery. Look. Oh, man. Merry Christmas to me. Thank you, Santa. $5. That's just absolutely incredible. And I've been getting a lot of and a lot of conversation, a lot of email. Jimmy, you seem to be doing so much better on this COVID thing. I'm at 60%. I fake it. But what is it? What's the secret? What are you doing? And I said, well, CBD, 1,000 milligrams in the morning and at night, Tons of Advil. There's all of this Advil talk. Don't take Advil. Advil works for me. Tylenol did not work. Fighting these headaches. Advil, coffee, and Sweet Tart ropes. That's right. That's the cure for COVID right there. COVID-19, Sweet Tart ropes. Have you done these things yet? Right there. That'll cure everything that ails you. All right. Got my copy of, finally, got my copy of Woke. Doesn't Mean Broke. And look at that. Look how thick this thing's. 600, almost 700 pages. If you haven't gotten it yet, head over to forbiddenknowledge.com, forbiddenknowledge.tv. Go and get yourself your copy of Woke is Not Broke. I wrote the foreword to it. It's pretty cool, right? Right in the front, too. You just open this thing up. It's like page 1, page 2, page 3, page right there, forward. And seeing that in print is pretty cool. So get your copy. Woke Doesn't Mean Broke by Billy Carson. All right. Let's move forward. Hello to everybody on YouTube, Facebook, the Bunker Cam, UBM. What is up? Everybody and Twitter, hashtag F2B in the sandbox. Everybody is over. We started the show late tonight on Spreaker, so I apologize for all of that. But hello to everybody in the Spreaker chat room. And, of course, Twitter, TalkStream Live, KGRA, The Planet. All right. Let's move forward. Let's get this show cracking. All right. Let's go. Right now. Breaking news. The Israeli government collapsed earlier today at midnight local time over in Israel after the country's parliament failed to meet a deadline for passage of the 2020 and 2021 budgets. Israel will now head to its fourth elections in 2 years. That is nuts. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and blue and white leader Benny Gantz blamed one another for the collapse of their 7-month-old government. That's crazy. You think we're going through stuff over here? I know the whole world is watching, and everything's over with now. We're just moving to January 6th, and then we can get to the 20th and move on through 2021. Let's get all this stuff behind us. But the world is watching. But just imagine if we were going through what Israel is going through. One little hiccup, new government. That's it. You're out. You're out. Elections are tomorrow. It's like, what? That's the way they do it over there. All right. Well, Antarctica is in the news, folks. Antarctica can no longer lay claim to being the only continent free of coronavirus after 36 Chileans tested positive for COVID-19. Chile's military said at least 36 people have been infected at its Bernardo O'Higgins base, including 26 Army personnel and 10 civilian contractors who are there conducting maintenance at the base. The station is one of 13 active Chilean bases in Antarctica. You got to think about that. One person with COVID, everybody enclosed, right? That's it. I mean, you don't hang out outside. Everybody's going to get it. Apple is in the news today. Apple, we know a few things. One, Apple makes the iPhone, right? We know that. They make the iPad. I don't know how many iPads I have over at the house. They make AirPods. I don't know how many AirPods we have floating around the house. They make the Mac Air. I got a couple of those too, right? And now the company will produce a self-driving car. And they are going to do it by 2024. No news on the name yet, by the way. The self-driving electric will use a breakthrough single-cell battery that increases the vehicle's range and uses lithium iron phosphate, otherwise known as LFP, chemistry. which is less prone to overheating. LFP batteries also do not require cobalt. It will also use, are you ready? It will also use the LiDAR sensors on the iPhone 12. Oh, man. And the iPad Pro, by the way, has got LiDAR sensors too. Absolutely nuts. Well, earlier today, the U.S. Justice Department sued Walmart over its role in the opioid crisis, alleging the retailer wrongly filled prescriptions. The suit accuses Walmart of irresponsible handling of orders, filling thousands of invalid prescriptions, and ignoring red flags about problem orders as it sacrificed public health in a drive to boost sales. In their press release today, the Justice Department said that authorities could seek up to billions of dollars in penalties in the litigation that followed a multi-year investigation. Holy crap. Let's get the show cracking. Happy birthday to today, Ralph Fiennes. Ralph Fiennes today is only 58 years old. Cheap Trick's Rick Nielsen. Hold on to your hat. You ready? Rick Nielsen today is 74. Now, think back to the first time you heard Live at Budokan. That dude is 74 years old. Guitarist Frank Gambale today is 62. Great guitar player. I've seen him play many times, always at the NAMM show. Our dead guys' birthdays today are Maurice and Robin Gibb, both born in 1949 because they were twins. Maurice died in 2003, and Robin left this earth back in 2012. Of course, they were 2/3 of the Bee Gees. Today, it's just Barry that is still with us, and the new documentary by HBO is a solid 10 out of 10. If you haven't seen it, you need to check it out. It's a great documentary, and one you're going to watch more than once, of course. And it will remind you how great the Bee Gees were and still are. Now, after the show tonight, go and play How Deep Is Your Love 10 times in a row like I did today in the bunker. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. It's just crazy. Maurice and Robin Gibb. On this day in history, OTD 1808. Beethoven's Fifth Symphony. 1808, by the way, not that long ago. Beethoven's Fifth Symphony is given its world premiere in Vienna, conducted by the one and only Ludwig himself. Vader fact. This is a good one. Vader fact, they're all good. Vader fact. German discount supermarket Lidl, L-I-D-L, by the way. It might be Lidl, Lidl. It failed to succeed in Norway, and the chain shut it all down after trying for 4 years. Why? Because Norwegians don't like foreign food. Yeah, I'm going to leave that right there. Tonight, James Fox is here. We're going to be talking about his new film. It's a hit. The Phenomenon. If you haven't seen it, go and check it out. It's right there. It's on Amazon. And I've seen it many, many times. We'll be talking about that tonight. And, of course, we'll be talking about the recent rapid-fire developments surrounding TTSA to the Stars Academy. Tomorrow night, live from the UK, Ronnie Dugdale is here. We're going to be talking about his contribution to John Burroughs' new book and his timeline of the events in and around and above Rendlesham Forest. And then, of course, Thursday night is Christmas Eve. It's another Fader night. Not just any Fader night. It's our Christmas Eve special. Open lines all night long. I've seen Cheap Trick in concert many, many years ago. Love the Bee Gees and Andy Gibb. See, Madeline, it was your night here on the show. All right. Are you getting a new bunker, Sharon? Yeah, this thing, you know, I've got WD-40 right here. Oh, no, that's not WD. I got WD-40 somewhere here in the bunker. And I just got to take the time to. Yeah, it's really squeaking now. It's really squeaking. This chair, the squeaky chair. I just can't shake it, can I? All right. Yeah, it's Christmas Eve. I just can't believe it's Christmas week. Wow. All right. RiverMoonCoffee.com. The best. River Moon Coffee, Fade to Black blend. All right, so let's get straight to it, folks. Last night on the show, Ryan Sprague brought up TTSA. Maybe I brought it up, but then he brought up, how do I say it? Well, we ended up, let me put it to you like this. We spent a segment talking about them and what the future may be. And he said, hey, there's rumors, right? There's rumors, man, and they're going around right now. Maybe the end of TTSA, right? And so we talked about TTSA. We did spend a full segment on it, the future and things. And over the last couple of months, there have been a lot of rumors floating around about certain individuals that may be leaving. And, I'm not gonna fuel the fire. I'm not going to do that, but I had heard, this is just a rumor, but I had heard a few months ago that Hal Puthoff was out. And he just wanted to go and work in his lab in Texas, and he had other things to worry about. He was a physicist and a scientist, and he's going to go work on his stuff, right? Okay. So there was that. And I thought, man, Hal, really? Okay. So, and it kind of just grew from there. Lou's name kept coming up. Chris Mellon's name kept coming up. And there's only so many people at the company. You got Tom, you got Semivan, a couple of others, Tom's sister. But, not much is left. Steve Justice. I think that's all 7 right there, if you think about it. Well, things did heat up recently, and then Lou Elizondo was on Coast with George Knapp on Sunday night, and I started to read the transcripts from the show. Got a couple of texts. Did you hear what Lou just said? And I got the text on Sunday night, and I read them first thing Monday morning, and which was yesterday. And yeah, right? Now, although Lou alluded to a possible separation from TSA, and he said a couple of things. There were some comments there, and there's really no way to read between the lines and think that it meant something else other than what Lou was trying to say without saying it directly. Well, today, everything was confirmed. Lou Elizondo, Chris Mellon, and Steve Justice have apparently, the reason why I say apparently, have all left the company. The company is here in Southern California. Who lives out here? Who actually goes into the office each day? I don't know. I don't know that stuff. But this is where things are at. And I made a few phone calls today. I vetted the story, and and I keep saying appears to be true. So, yeah, today I posted a bunch of stuff over on social media about it. And in a very general sense, I'm pretty pissed off. Now, of course, I have been very vocal about my concerns with To the Stars over the last couple of years, and I get that. And the list of issues is long. But the most basic thing that I've tried to get across to everyone is this. Don't put all of your hopes and dreams into one basket. Don't do it. That trust is earned. And that we needed to give TTSA a couple of years to build a track record with the community. And then we could just take inventory and see where we are at with To the Stars. That's basically it. Well, now it appears that we'll never get the chance to do that, to assess. I'm not sure if TTSA will continue or not. And if they do, it'll probably just be Tom DeLonge's entertainment enterprise. Movies, cartoons, books, right? Music. The backwards engineering of alien technology to build anti-gravity commercial airlines, well, you know what? That's definitely off the table. To be honest with everyone, although I was pretty rough on TTSA, I'd always hoped that they would one day bust out the big stuff, blow this whole thing up. And disclosure would be here, the real disclosure that we all talk about. And that one day I would have to eat crow, humble myself, and congratulate TTSA on their achievement. I really, deep down inside, I thought that that's how it was going to play out, right? And a great day that would have been, right? All right, I'm cool with it. I am cool with going, hey, I was wrong. Disclosure's here. This is a great day, right? Trust me, I would have been the first person to stand up and shout. But it appears at this point that it just ain't going to happen. Now, here's the real deal. Let's say that TTSA folds up shop, right? Packs it up. Or at least dissolves their research and development wings. And it's only entertainment from this point forward. What happens to all of those people who bought stock in the company based on the original live stream presentation? What happens to them? They invested because of the promise of ET tech being brought to the masses. They didn't drop their cash for movie and music productions. Maybe some did. Okay, I don't know. But I'm sure that the vast majority were all about the anti-gravity propulsion systems and free energy. And I get that. Now, I'm sure, like with any investment, you are told to do your own due diligence, right? That all investments must be considered a risk, and there may be no return, that there are no guarantees. And I get that. Doesn't help the situation, does it? So moving forward, we'll have to wait and see what TTSA has to say on everything. But the exit of Elizondo, Mellon, and Justice can't be considered a good thing. Only for Elizondo, Mellon, and Justice. After the smoke starts to clear, we'll get a better picture of how things are going to shake out. But how much money do they have in the bank? Right? How much is the stock worth? How much stock do these three have? Are they going to cash out? If they can. How much debt does TTSA carry? What projects do they have in development? Books in the pipeline, movies, music. What's going on with that? Right? Well, we don't know much because nobody's talking. But for the big three to just pull the plug, all at the same time, by the way, that says a lot. You don't walk away if there's big stuff being worked on. Now, I don't know anything, but I'm sure you understand my take on things. It's just common sense. Right now, I feel bad for all of those in our community and outside of it who put everything into TTSA. Not only money, but it's emotions and hope. Just to have, once again, something taken away from them. Now, I'm not saying it's over. I'm not saying this is the end. But it's not looking good for the To the Stars Academy at the moment. This is not the time for anyone to say, I told you so. Far from it. Nobody needs to hear it, and you're not going to get that from me. And to be very straight with all of you, I think Tom really wanted to shake things up. And he did a lot of cool things, starting with the Days of Disclosure that kicked off nearly exactly 3 years ago. Now, it could also be that everyone is jumping the gun here, including myself. And maybe Lou and the team will work things out, and To the Stars lives on to fight another day. Who knows? The crazy thing is this. Who would have thunk that TTSA would be another casualty of 2020. I did not. Man, 2020, which just makes me think 2021 cannot get here fast enough. Now, in closing, it's the TV series Unidentified, right? With its star, Lou Elizondo, Chris Mellon, the entertainers. Did they shoot everything they had, literally and figuratively, in the first season? Did they run out of material? You know, second season, could there be another season? Or was there nothing left to give? You know, that's something to think about here. I don't know about the cash flow. I don't know. I haven't seen the SEC disclosures for last year. But here's the thing. Tom is certainly flush. If it's money, right? If there is no cash flow, can't Tom take out his checkbook and loan some money to the stars and float salaries for a year or two? Let's say these guys, 5, 4, 3 guys making a couple of $100,000 a year. So it's $1 million a year. What's that to Tom for a couple of years until the ROI starts to come back from the other stuff that they are working on? I don't know. And it's for me to see 3 guys walk. I don't know. It's a very puzzling situation. I was really hoping for the opposite. With that, this is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, James Fox is here. And Chris Mellon, he's in the film. He's in the phenomenon. Harry Reid's in the phenomenon. I think Elizondo got his face in there for a few seconds, too, as well. Wow. How does all of this play out? Well, James Fox is going to be with us right after this short break. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. On the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet. You can follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. You can follow James Fox at James Fox. I think that's what he is, right? Isn't that what he is? I just tweeted at him earlier today. Oh, hold on. I'll tell you what James Fox is right now. James Fox is, at James Fox. I've got it up there on Twitter. I'll be right back after this short break. Stay with us.
This is Nicole Church, daughter of you-know-who, and you're listening to Fade to Black on JimmyChurchRadio.com and the Game Changer Network.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio. Introducing the Game Changer blend from River Moon Coffee that delivers a customized blend made specifically for the Fadernauts. If the game is rigged, change the game. It's a bolder cup with some bite. Game Changer is the coffee of choice for those that prefer an organic dark roast that is slightly lighter and milder, but it's still dark. With wild notes of pecans and chocolate with a rich, balanced, full-bodied cup that is roasted to perfection for a great coffee to start your day, as an after-dinner coffee or anywhere in between. Artisan, small batch roasted to perfection. USDA certified organic, all River Moon coffee is freshly roasted and packaged in the USA. Just go to rivermooncoffee.com or click on the banners over on our site and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. rivermooncoffee.com. Go Beckley Teppy.
This is the only way forward.
This is Fade to Black. Make contact. KGRARadio.com.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can get our podcast for just $2 per month. All you have to do is click on the podcast banner over at jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, folks. It's troubling times, and fear is pushing emotions, which in turn pushes health the wrong direction. Do you ever get an ache because life is uneasy? Try Life Change Tea at getthetea.com. Life Change Tea works on your digestive tract, helping to move food through quicker and comfortably so your health is spot on. Life Change Tea may not help with world issues, but it will help with your digestive issues. A glass a day helps keep the intruders away. So, change your life today. Log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. If your health game is off, get on by ordering Life Change Tea. Getthetea.com. And while you're on our site, look around at the great non-GMO organic supplements. And if you're a sales shopper, go to our specials page and see what's for you. I've been drinking the tea for 12 years, and I'm sure glad for its health benefits. Again, that's getthetea.com. Getthetea.com. The tea that makes you go.
Permanent industrial glue impossible to remove? Not anymore, because Handyman Formula by D-Bond is a patented chemical adhesive remover. It's used in the building and home maintenance industry, but now it's available for your home use, for your DIY projects. Unglue stickers, silicone rubber, labels, price tags, flex tape, weather stripping, carpet glue, wood glue, liquid nails, even 3M 5200. And it dissolves graffiti. Yeah, graffiti. Handyman Formula by D-Bond works, and it's safe to use on most surfaces. No need to call a professional. Don't get out the pliers and blowtorch. Just apply a little Handyman Formula by D-Bond and wait 90 seconds, then quickly and easily pull the items apart. Get unstuck. Visit dbondhandymanformula.com. That's dbondhandymanformula.com or call 561-575-4200. Handyman Formula by D-Bond.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the planet.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Massey, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, James Fox is here. We're going to be talking about his new hit film, the documentary, The Phenomenon. Tomorrow night, live from the UK, Ronnie Dugdale. Thursday night's Christmas Eve, very special Christmas Eve show. It is Fader night, open lines all night long. Spending our Christmas Eve with all of you. It's going to be great. Now, I just want to let everybody know, I just held up to the camera a can of WD-40, which I found. The squeaky chair has ended. That's right. Tonight, James Fox is here. James was born in England, raised in New York and California, began his journalism career early in life as an assistant to his father, writer Charles Fox. That's right. Now, let's remember, together they traveled on many magazine assignments, interviewing Stephen Hawking, right? Dan Gurney, one of my favorites from Indianapolis, for Rolling Stone magazine, Car and Driver, to Sports Illustrated. He finished and sold his first documentary to Discovery by the time he was just 28 years old, and has completed and distributed TV projects for Sci-Fi, TLC, National Geographic, and History Channel. And he has made frequent appearances on Larry King Live, all those classic shows, Nightline, Dateline, Anderson Cooper, and others. Out of the Blue and I Know What I Saw are two of the most respected films in all of ufology. And tonight, we're going to discuss his next film, The Phenomenon. There you go. I'd like to welcome back to Fade to Black, the one and only James Fox. James, how you doing?
Thank you for that impressive introduction. I'm thinking to myself, boy, I gotta meet this guy.
Yeah, well, you wrote it.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding, man. I don't want to do that to you. I don't want to do that to you. I'm gonna say this, James, that for the last couple of weeks, I've had a squeaky chair in the studio, and I'm interviewing. Excuse me, I'm interviewing guests, and every time I move in the middle of somebody saying something, it was and it's loud, and I fixed it just for you during the commercial break.
Well, they say the squeaky chair gets the grease.
That's right, and it just did. It just did. Wow.
And I'm sure that chair's got wheels on it too. So hey,
it does. It does. It does. Those will be next. I will grease the squeaky wheels. Well done. Well played, James. Well played. Crazy year. Crazy year. You and I have talked through most of it. And I think about our conversations that we were having, 8, 9, 10 months ago. And the launch of the film and everything else, and then the country and everything that was going on. And here we are in late December, 3 days before Christmas, and this TTSA news hits the fan. Now, I'm not going to say too much, but let me ask you this. You probably saw a lot of this coming. I know that you did. But were you surprised to actually see this today?
Well, first of all, 2020 has been, every week has been, and now for something completely different.
Right.
It's like, no. You hear rumors circulating all the time, and some of the sources are rather credible, but until it actually, happens, nothing's finalized, right? So am I shocked? Not terribly. But it came a little earlier than I had expected.
Let's see. Let's go down the inventory here. Chris Mellon's in your film. Harry Reid's in your film. I believe Elizondo does a drive-by, right?
Yes, he's in there. Yeah.
Yeah, he's in there too as well. Have you reached out to anyone?
Well, I mean, I've been working. Nothing's really changed for me. I mean, I've been working with and around people associated with TTSA for the better part of 2 years. So, and one thing I'd love to have the opportunity to say is that. And I myself have been a victim to this. People can criticize so easily, especially sitting on the sidelines. And I've had my efforts criticized many times, some of which were well-deserved. Other times it's like, people can just be highly critical. And TTSA has, love them or hate them, they've gotten, they've moved the needle more than anyone else has in the last 3 years. I mean, more has gone down in the last 3 years because of people directly with TTSA or associated with TTSA than we've accomplished since the closing of Project Blue Book in '69. So I tip my hat to their efforts, and I don't know, I haven't had any detailed conversations with any of them in terms of what their future may or may not be with TTSA, but I know that they're all dedicated people to the field that will want to continue their pursuit of further government transparency and what they've set out to do.
How does the dynamic change for TTSA if, three of your biggest guns, certainly Elizondo being right there and Chris Mellon and Steve Justice for the technology side of things, for them to leave, where does this leave them for the future and their focus? Are they now just an entertainment company if they do stick around?
I really can't speak on the behalf of TTSA. I wish I could say more, but my experience with the people that I've either worked with directly or spoken with, or people that have publicly endorsed the film, like Lou Elizondo and Jim Semivan, had contact with Hal Puthoff, and obviously, I think Jacques Vallée was skirting along with Nolan, TTSA for a period of time. But I wish I could give you guys more information. I'm on the outside looking in myself. I mean, I'm still associated. I'm still doing promotional stuff and in touch with a few key players. Hopefully, moving forward, I will continue to be. I can't imagine that changing. But in terms of TTSA's future, I don't know.
Yeah, well,
I can't speak on their behalf.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm asking for your opinion, where we have the value of what happened 3 years ago in December, right? New York Times and how that happened, and how that was brought forward. If the three main players are no longer with the company, does TTSA, in your opinion, continue to research, or is it just putting out books and music CDs?
I haven't. I mean, look, just because. And by the way, I have tremendous respect for Lou Elizondo. The fact that he sacrificed so much and stepping down from his position, the security of a paycheck, a job, for the betterment of all humanity. I think that was a very courageous move on his part, and I have a tremendous respect for him. Does this mean that they can, continue doing the same thing that they have been doing, but maybe they have more liberty, more freedom to involve themselves in other activities? Quite possibly. And if that's the case, then who knows? Maybe they continue. I'm just speculating, but maybe they just continue making their contribution with TTSA and other people as well. We'll have to see.
And for all of us that went through the original live stream back in October of 2017, when the stock was sold, right? The investments were coming in, and they announced the formation of TTSA that day in the live stream. One of the things that was suggested as the focus of TTSA is getting this alien technology into the public domain, right? Anti-gravity, air transportation, free energy. These things were suggested, and that's what a large chunk of that investment money came. Everybody was excited, including myself. Where do you think that leaves the investors and the people that bought stock?
Well, that was a rather lofty goal, that's for sure. But gosh, I simply couldn't. I mean, I can't even begin to speculate. Time will tell. I mean, who knows what DeLong has in store for TTSA, if he's going to bring other people involved. I change his objective, or I don't know. I wish I could give you more.
No, I understand that. I'm just asking for opinions, and the reason why you've been through this, James. You've had your heart broken, right?
Oh, yeah.
You've had things pulled out from under you, and you know what this. And I'm not going to bring up the past, but and I'm giggling. But we don't need to go there. But the experience that the UFO community has gone through time and time again over the years. You get your hopes up, things are breaking, this is it, we're about to, boom, and then, right? And it's just like...
Well, it's funny you should say that, because I have been through a lot, and a lot of my partners have sacrificed so much and worked so hard. It's been a long, hard haul, and it's very exciting to see the mainstream attention the film's been getting. I mean, it's every time I look on iTunes, it's been #1 in documentaries. I mean, it's like glued to #1, and it continues to perform incredibly well. Of course, the Joe Rogan show is a major boon for us as well. And I just think, look, the film's success is kind of the success of all of us, right? I mean, we're all in this together. And as much as I kind of want to sit back and kick my feet up and enjoy the fruits of my hard labor, I feel like now's not the time to let up. We've got to strike while the iron's hot, and I feel like the iron is glowing. And the phenomenon rollout is different than any other rollout that I've had in the past, because it's not hitting with the full force. It's more of a slow-moving tsunami, because we're going to have rolling this film out on a multitude of platforms, pretty much all of them at some point in the next 12 to 18 months. And so far, it's performed incredibly well. And I think it will continue to do that and continue to get recognized around the world. So now is the time to kind of keep that momentum moving forward. And I think that you're going to see lots of more extremely exciting, not only just publicity, but events occurring in 2021. And, we just have to keep the pressure on. We've got to keep the pressure on.
Yeah, I feel so bad for the community right now. In that,
don't.
But not because of the phenomenon. That's the bright spot of the year. But it's that the community is always divided, right? There's always some situation that is in front of us that some people are buying into, some are not, some are supporting, some are not, and they are used to disappointment, and we've seen it time and time again. But this time around, TTSA did an awful lot, and they did an awful lot right out of the gate. I mean, that was big news, and bringing in Tucker Carlson and the New York Times and all of the media around the world. This was a really, really big deal, and because of that, so much of the community has put their emotions and hope into this, and I just don't want to see it go away. I don't.
It's not going to go away. Look, their success is our success. Our success is their success. We're all in this together. Look, everyone can have the spotlight momentarily, but the spotlight on any one of us is the spotlight on all of us. So, as divided as the community can be, we're kind of all in this together. I'd like to see more focus on a common goal and people working together. And we're not enemies. We're not competing against each other. We're working together. And even though we don't always agree on cases or tactics or motives or objectives, we should be lifting each other and encouraging and helping each other.
It's words of wisdom, and I want to remind the audience that at the beginning of this year, James, through his distributor, had secured a full theatrical release, and we were talking about 1,000 screens, right? And the premiere,
more than that, I think. It was
1,200 to 1,500. It eventually got to that kind of number, right? And wow, the excitement, and these deals were done, and COVID just was relentless. And the next thing you know, I'm watching you go through this where you put so many years and so much effort into this film, and it was great, and we all knew it, and this was going to be a theatrical release, and all of that stopped. And so when you say right now, it's okay, we're going to get through this, we're all in this together, you could be actually a very angry guy right now and upset about the way that the cards were dealt. And that's not the best way to focus on the future, is it?
No, not at all. I mean, that was a goal of mine for 26, 27 years. And when it happened, I was just, just having to pinch myself. And it was, like I said, it's been an objective, because it sort of legitimizes the topic in a way that I wanted to see done, and a lot of people wanted to see done. And it was just incredibly exciting. And when when COVID hit, I was just like, nobody wanted COVID to go away more than I did. I was like, no. But, these things happen. And the one good thing out of it is I often tell people, I had people in the industry saying to me, you're going to be in theaters. You got to hire a sound engineer and really do a nice 5.1 Dolby surround mix. Because trust me, the audience is going to be, they're going to be irritated and not know what it is that's irritating them. But that's the effect that sound is. When sound isn't done properly on a good speaker system, it's just irritating, right?
That's right.
So the reason why I'm saying this is, the good news is, if you have a nice stereo system or a 5.1 surround home theater system, take full advantage of that, because the film we hired an Emmy award-winning sound engineer that works with James Cameron, and he spent the better part of 8 weeks microscopically, surgically, working on every single frame of audio. It was just one of the most impressive tasks, operations I've seen. And the end result is, when I saw it on a big screen, it's down in LA, with this 5.1 surround, I was just floored. I mean, it was like watching my own movie for the first time. So if anybody out there has a good system, do yourselves a favor and watch the film with that system, because it's truly impressive.
Well, we'll talk about all of this in depth after the break. But when you have documentaries like Out of the Blue, and I know what I saw in your back pocket and part of your resume, your next film can't be a slouch act, right? It can't. You've got to top that. Now, and I've got to go into some disclosure here with everybody. Over the last few years, James has been sending me clips from the film, immediately calling me up. Did you see it? Did you see it? What do you think? Did you see it? And through all of the early editing stages, I saw and listened to every version of the sound, all the way up to the very end, and I saw it evolve. And so for you, the question is, it's a simple one. What did you choose to focus on? Was it the script? Was it the stories? Was it the visuals? Or was it the audio?
It was all of them, because remember, I've had this goal of creating the seminal feature-length documentary film on the topic of UFOs that could compete on a mainstream level and, break through. And I had failed on my previous attempts. I mean, look, was I moderately happy with Out of the Blue? Yeah. I mean, I reworked Out of the Blue several times. I mean, I put it down for a year. One time I put it down for 3 years. I spent 2 more years on it. It was like 7.5 years in all. But I was still not happy. Same thing with I Know What I Saw. So when I got to this film, I'd learned from all my previous mistakes. I had to deal with Lionsgate with I Know What I Saw. That was going to be huge. And it wasn't just the financial gain for me, but it was the global footprint that came along with a distributor like Lionsgate. And it went up through the ranks and eventually got to program acquisitions. And they said, well, our tech department came back and said, it's not quite up to par to our standard of production values. And they kicked off a few things in the box with, the audio and the different frame rates and just blah, blah, blah. And it was really kind of depressing. And so I said, I'll never make that mistake again. If I can't afford to do it right, I will wait until I can. So with this film, I hired a gentleman named David West. He was a National Geographic photographer. He worked extremely high-end photography. In fact, he worked with James Cameron as well. just one of the most amazing photographers ever. I mean, super passionate about what he does. He's the guy up wherever we traveled, whether it was China or Brazil. You know, he would last one to bed, first one up in the morning, getting the sunrise, shooting beautiful time-lapse photography. You know, I shot drones and, you know, hired a music composer that spent a year and a half. This guy, Christopher Hogue, put his heart and soul into it. One of the best sound engineers, you know, a bank of editors, myself included. And we just didn't accept. I mean, the only thing, funny enough, that I fell a little bit short on was funny, actually, because it came down to a handful of graphics that were just, that weren't quite where I wanted them to be. There was stuff that was done in a previous production that Robert Hastings had worked on UFOs and nukes, and we just didn't quite have the time to bring them up to the level that we were working with. And I kind of lived with a handful of them. And I'm not judging what he did with his production. We were just operating at a slightly different level. And I read a review on CNN, and they had said, "Oh, you know, amazing testimony. I mean, there's too bad for the graphics." And I thought, you know, I have to agree with you on that one. But again, I tried to keep everything from the photography to the music to the content to the eyewitness testimony to the archival footage. I mean, we went to great lengths to make it look pretty and feel pretty and give it pause and moments and entertainment. And it was quite a task. And every frame was carefully combed through. Nothing was coincidence. I mean, it was very carefully, meticulously crafted.
I'm going to make you laugh. I've seen the film so many times now over the last couple of years that I am able to be very critical because I know every frame, right? I'm going to make you laugh. You know what? I caught? I'm a continuity guy, right? I caught a couple of things. And can I drop one on you just to make you laugh?
Sure.
Christopher Mellon's collar
is
unbuttoned. Yeah.
Yep. Do you know what I went through that morning setting that shot up? And it was so funny because I literally was like, move the curtain, move the chair to this way, have the lights. Like, we spent several hours before Mr. Mellon arrived setting the lights up, the scene. I mean, we were meticulous. We went through. Then he sat down, and I took a good look, and I thought, you know, I need something in the background. And I halted production. I said, hold off on this interview. I ran around, and I needed some books behind him. So I went and I ran around this house that we were renting, and I finally found some books up in the upstairs area, brought them down, and put them back there. And then he sat down, and I looked, and I thought, okay, this looks perfect. And then I noticed after the fact that his shirt was unbuttoned. It's one of the collars on the one side was unbuttoned.
I've watched it so many
people notice, but some people do.
I've just seen it too many times, right? And it's just it sticks out. So funny. James, stay right there. I've got to take a quick break, and I want to let everybody know that I had a conversation early this morning with Richard Dolan, and he let me know this morning that his mother passed away earlier today, and our thoughts and prayers are with the entire Dolan family as they go through this through the holidays. And there you go. So with that, Richard, Tracy, the Dolan family, you guys, our thoughts are with you. This is Fade to Black. Yeah. Just a harsh morning for me to wake up to with that. But anyway, with that, James Fox is here. We're talking about his new film, The Phenomenon. So much more to talk about tonight. Stay right there. This is Fade to Black. You can follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. You can follow James Fox at James Fox. We'll be right back.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station, Salt Lake City, Utah, Van Buren, Arkansas.
Hello, my name is Billy Carson, and I am a best-selling author and the founder of ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Together with my team, we have built an all-new conscious streaming TV platform designed with every family member in mind. If you have ever wanted to travel the world and attend lectures and workshops from your favorite speakers but weren't able to, look no further. ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. There are dozens of workshops and lectures from speakers you know and love. We have also included amazing categories to assure that your consciousness is entertained and elevating on a daily basis. Amazing interviews, ancient history, ascension knowledge, wisdom teachings, documentaries, conspiracies, mysteries, health and fitness, conscious cooking, meditations, finance, yoga, and so much more. To start your free trial on any mobile device or computer, surf to ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. That's Forbidden Knowledge with the number 4, ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Again, visit ForbiddenKnowledge.tv today.
Listen, I know, and you know, that you've always wanted your first crystal skull. Or maybe you're a collector just like me, but you just don't know where to go to find the real thing. Then I met Carolyn Ford over at EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com. Carolyn is the guardian of Einstein, one of the most respected ancient crystal skulls in the world. All of her unique skulls have been imprinted sitting with Einstein in his sacred lodge and are carved from the finest gemstone and materials. Imprinting is the process of receiving the ancient wisdom from the master skull or master computer, Einstein the Ancient Crystal Skull. To see Carolyn's current collection of crystal skulls, just visit her store at EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com or click on the banner over on our site. Don't forget to use the promo code Jimmy at checkout to receive 10% off of your order today. That's promo code Jimmy. Finding your first or next crystal skull is easy. Just visit EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy.
Hello, I'm Katie, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black, on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA Digital Broadcast Station.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And this is Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers.
We're of the Honey Brothers.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And I'm Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers.
And you're listening to Jimmy Church.
The Revolution.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can become an official Fadernaut by just going to our membership section at jimmychurchradio.com.
Hello, this is Serena Wright Taylor from Conscious Life Expo, and you're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church, who holds the Lucky Pony record for the best astrological chart since 1963. True story.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, James Fox is here, and I don't have a squeaky chair. Tomorrow night, Ronnie Dugdale live from the UK, and then Thursday night, it's Christmas Eve. We're
We're going to spend our Christmas Eve with all of you. You guys ready, James? Are you ready for the holidays? You're back in San Francisco, right?
I'm about an hour north in the sort of countryside. But yeah, Northern California.
You ready for the holidays?
Yeah. I mean, yes. Yes.
That's a weird hesitation.
I know. It's just different because people can't quite do the normal things that we do during Christmas holidays because we're trying not to get our elders infected. You know what I mean? So
I know.
The people that we normally hang out with are in their 70s and 80s, and they don't want to get COVID.
Yeah, your son is listening right now going, what do you mean? We're not, what? What do you mean? There's going to be no Christmas?
Last year was so funny. We had all these presents wrapped for him under the tree, and it's something that he's just bubbling over with excitement every day. He looks at them, and last year we were like cooking pancake breakfast on Christmas morning. Somehow he went in the other room and he opened all the presents.
Oh, right on.
We weren't even there, right? And we were devastated. We walked in, we're like, what? Ollie, what did you do? He goes, I'm sorry, I couldn't stop myself. It was so cute, but we wanted to be there to see his excitement, and it was just so funny. He opened everything.
When you were a kid, now be straight with me. When you were a kid, did you ever find the presents in your parents' closet and never say anything?
One time. It's funny? I just thought of that the other day. So I was looking for something. I broke something on the kitchen floor, and there was this weird kind of closet off in the kitchen of this apartment we were living in at the time. And I opened up this, cabinet, which I would normally not open, looking for a broom or a dustpan or something. And there was this remote control car that my mother had got from Radio Shack, and I just about died. I mean, I was like, it was like the equivalent of finding like a bag of, $5 million in gas.
Right.
Like, oh my God. And then I had to be quiet about it. It was really funny.
Yeah, you got to fake it. One time and one time only. I'm probably about 8 years old, and I am tearing my parents' bedroom apart. Looked in the garage, and I'm like, there's got to be stuff here somewhere. And then I looked under their bed, right? And everything was just packed, right? And
oh my God.
And I went through and I felt horrible. I never did it again.
God.
I did it that one time, and I didn't say anything, and I just I did it once. And after that, I felt horrible. I felt so bad. I felt so bad.
My mom was dating this other guy because my parents separated, and I remember he had a slightly strained initial relationship with this guy. His name was Michael, and I don't remember exactly how old I was, but I was bragging about all these wonderful presents that Santa had bought for me. And they were driving me to the airport to drop me off, and I was going to fly up north to spend the holidays with my dad. And got out of the car at the airport, going to check in my bag or whatever. And I was like, and Santa got me this and Santa got me that. And my stepdad looks at me and he goes, looking, kid, Santa Claus doesn't exist. I bought you those presents. And I was just like, it was like a gut punch. I was like, oh,
no.
That's how I discovered that Santa Claus didn't exist.
Yeah, my sister Carol pulled that crap on me, and I was probably around 5, I'm guessing 5 or 6, and I ran straight to my mom. Carol says Santa Claus isn't real. And I was torn up, man. I was torn up.
I was devastated. I mean, it was like, I remember it like it was yesterday. Isn't that funny?
I think Carol, I think my sister got grounded. Yeah, I think my sister got grounded for like a month. And
so funny.
Yeah, so there you go. All right, now I'm going to turn the tables on you. Little disclaimer here for everybody. As this film got put together, James would call me up and ask me what I thought about this or that. And then as the film got completed and finished, James favorite question to me was, okay, what's your favorite part? What's your favorite part? What's your favorite? What's your favorite? Well, I'm gonna turn it around on you, James. What's your favorite segment of the film?
God, I'm trying to think if anyone's ever asked me that. And I can only have one.
Yep. See, because I've got a three-way tie. Actually, I've got a three-way tie, but no, yeah, you only get one.
Okay, boy, that's a tough one. I would say Rua.
Yep.
But.
Oh, there's a but. Okay.
Yes. Socorro.
Yeah.
And, when Jacques Vallée got involved with the film, thank you, Lee Spiegel, one of the reasons he almost felt an obligation because we finally lured him into the edit studio, which I think I've probably told most of your listeners was at the end of a dirt road in a little shack with no running water, no toilet, no internet, and had an extension cord running out from this other woman's house in this garden. And we was supposed to be just a temporary spot, but I just couldn't find anything locally in this community that I live in, and I've been here forever. There just wasn't anything available that was remotely affordable. So we kind of had to when Jacques got involved and we finally, again, lured him out to the edit studio because we wanted to get a higher level of participation with him, and he wanted to see some of the content we were sitting on. We had to kind of prep him ahead of time, like, hey, just so you know, we're doing this film. We're kind of, temporarily in this little shack and it's dirt road, but don't bring your own supplies. Make sure you take care of all your business before you get here because, So anyway, so he came out. We got so much incredible work done because there was absolutely nothing else to do once we locked ourselves in the studio. And it was a soundproof studio because it was built, this gentleman built it to do band practice. And then he ended up moving to Hawaii and having a kid, so he just left it there. And Jacques saw all of the great lengths I went to put together, document the whole Socorro case. I mean, I went back and forth to Socorro, New Mexico over a 5-year period. I went and spent a week with the guy that wrote the book on it, Socorro Saucer in a Pentagon Pantry. His name is escaping me. I'll think of it in a second. And I went to the National Archives and Ray Stanford. I uncovered all these archival documents and I got to know his wife. I got to know his daughter. I got to know his son. I got to know his coworkers. I got most of them on camera. And I put a lot of time and effort into that case, a lot. And Jacques lived through that period. Jacques, wasn't just another case for him. It was like this. It's what that case represented. It's also the human element. How this incident affected the lives of the Zamoras, particularly Lonnie Zamora and his job as a police officer, and the impact it had on him for forever. And Jacques happened to be, and if I'm boring your audience, just tell me, but I'll go into a little more detail on this case. But Jacques just happened to get an invitation to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Dayton, Ohio, in April of 1964. He was there with Dr. Hynek, who is, as your audience knows, the scientific advisor to Project Blue Book for the Air Force. So he was getting this tour of the base, and he said it was quite impressive. And Jacques said that he was trying to encourage Dr. Hynek to take a look at a lot of the Project Blue Book files that were categorized as psychological, because those were most probably close encounters of the third kind cases, that a lot of which were happening in France. A little earlier, I think we had a wave, close encounters of the third kind, I think it was in 1957 in France. And so he was trying to tell Hynek about this, and that these were happening. And literally 2 days later, Hynek gets a phone call, and that was that landing case in Socorro. So Jacques got to see the evolution of Dr. Hynek's thought process and investigation, and the fact that he did kind of almost a 180 on UFOs and all that at his time with the Air Force. that was the pivotal case. That was the case that sort of changed everything. And so to have that behind the scenes perspective from Jacques, from somebody who actually lived through that, was just, priceless, really. And so he felt an obligation to help us get it right. And he would do marathon edit sessions with us. He'd sit in the edit room and really, look, this is what's relevant, what's not relevant, and really just get to the core of it. And we, obviously show lots of wonderful evidence and wonderful testimony, but also the impact, the human element, the impact it had on his life and his wife and stuff like that. So it's a really powerful case. And when I went to Los Angeles to listen to the film post 5.1 Dolby surround mix, this guy had spent at Juniper Post a significant amount of time working this audio. I mean, he was doing it to win. The voices, and this guy Lance Mungia, who's also an editor on the project, he was like, I had these letters that I found at Lonnie Zamora's home that he kept, like, all these records of correspondence with the Air Force and correspondence with people from all around the world at the time that sent him all these letters. And he had cutouts of newspaper articles and stuff that no one's ever seen before. And he kept totally to himself. His wife, with his permission, let me go through all this. And I found these incredible letters of, April and May and June of 1964 from all these people around the world. And I really wanted to get them in the film, and I just wasn't sure exactly how to go about doing it. I kept kind of pushing them to the side. And finally, Lance is like, hey, man, we should read some of these and just read them in the middle of the piece. So I got all these different people to read excerpts of these letters from all these people that we brought them back to life after 50 plus years. And the audio mix at the 5.1 Dolby mix that this guy did down in LA, the voices would dance around the room on all the different speakers. And it was just like, wow, the impact of that was so powerful. I literally almost started to cry. And that was probably the first time I realized, I think this is one of my favorite cases. But it's that and Rua. And I know you said I can only have one, but boy, they're both very compelling cases, because it's not just another case. It's also the impact it had on the witness, the impact it had, the human factor, that's really powerful.
Yeah, for me, it's a three-way tie. It's Westall, it's Socorro, and it's Rua.
No doubt. It's a really good case.
Yeah, and because there are golden nuggets in each segment of the film, which each one of those cases, that is going to blow people away. We're not going to do any spoilers here. But so you've got that going for each case. But the other thing is this, which I think is so important. For those outside of the UFO community that are going to see this film that probably, they know what a UFO is, but they don't know about cases. And something like Westall, which guaranteed, they've never heard of, right? Or Rua that they've never heard of, and they get it the way that you deal with it in this film. That's gold, man. That is gold. And then to go back and revisit Lonnie Zamora, it's a case that, and I don't know why, James, it's a case that doesn't have the recognition, even inside of the UFO community, that it deserves. And I don't know why that is. Why is Socorro like the redheaded stepchild?
Well, I would have to say that someone has done several films on the topic. I had discarded it because I was like, it's an older case and kind of been there and done that. It's been covered at, Unsolved Mysteries back in '94, and kind of beat to death. And, because I remember when one of my early partners had mentioned that case to me, and of course I'd heard of it and stuff, but I was like, it's kind of an older case. It's over 50 years old. Like, it's kind of like almost like Roswell. It's like, we've been there, done that, and like, okay, it was a landing, and maybe he saw something, but boy, I tell you, when I stuck my teeth into that case, and thank God I did at the time, I did, because his wife Mary unfortunately had passed, and I just trying to get her copy of the film for her to see, and I got news that she passed. And I was so gutted over that Mary, Lonnie's wife, and we kept in touch. We wrote each other Christmas cards, and she would always knit. She had knit little blankets for my son, and I bought her truck. I bought Lonnie and her truck, the truck they did all their summer vacations in, and that they bought brand new in 1972, or maybe like it had like 100 miles on it or something. And it was sitting in the driveway, and she's like, I can't drive anymore. I really became like friends with the family, and I loved Mary, and I loved her daughter, and the case got really close to me, and I was like, wow, there's a lot more to learn about this case. Ray Stanford wrote the book. I mentioned it earlier, Socorro Saucer in the Pentagon Pantry, and the family had told me, look, this is, this guy got, according to our dad, this guy got it right. I mean, this is really what happened. And I'll share one more quick, funny little story is there's been all this controversy swirling around about the symbol that was on the side of the craft.
Right.
And Ray, and the military got there within an hour of the sighting. It happened on April 24th, which was a Friday, 1964, at about 5 p.m. And I think around 6 p.m., the military from White Sands Testing Range, Holloman Air Force Base, got in there. The guy's name was Richard T. Holder, from the first officers. There was the FBI there. And they deliberately, and quite rightfully so, asked Lonnie to change the symbol, that red symbol that was about 3 feet by 3 feet on the UFO, on the egg-shaped craft, to something different. And their reasoning behind that was, and I talked to Richard Holder's two sons and the family and Lonnie's family, was because if they could quickly identify a potential hoax, if somebody else said, hey, I saw the same thing, and yeah, I saw that symbol on the side, the military would quickly be able to identify that as a hoaxer. So they did that, and it was a great idea, but it stuck. And they actually had Lonnie draw it out on a piece of paper at the time, the fake one. And Lonnie stuck to his guns publicly about that. But Ray Stanford spoke with Lonnie and spoke with Dr. Hynek, who was on the scene within a few days, or maybe a day or two. And he knew otherwise. And he knew there were aspects of the story that had leaked out before the military got there and put the kibosh down within an hour. And Ray, for the better part of 50 years, had been saying, no, this is not the right symbol, and people kept kind of criticizing him and saying that he was incorrect. Well, Ray and I went to the National Archives together, and I had to almost grab him by the ear and take him with me because he was like, if there's anything that's going to be found, it's already been found, it's going to be a waste of time. We ended up finding the holy grail of documents written in Dr. Jalen Hynek's own handwriting, the original, not a photocopy, not a microfilm, the original letter in Hynek's handwriting, and he draws the real symbol just as Ray has been saying for all these years. And it was like a really wonderful moment for Ray, and a very exciting moment in production. So the real symbol. In fact, we didn't do a big feature during the film about the symbol. Don't ask me why, but don't really have time for all this stuff. But we do feature the real symbol on the side of the animated craft in the film. So the one that's on the craft is the real symbol. Yeah,
has the real symbol ever surfaced in another UFO case in the world?
No. Sorry. When you say the real symbol, you mean like other symbols on other UFO cases?
No.
Or are you talking about this one in particular?
Yeah, the real symbol, the J. Allen Hynek, right? The real symbol. Has it ever surfaced in another case?
To the best of my knowledge, no. And I actually gave that document to Dr. Jacques Vallée, and he was obviously very excited to get that. He was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you interviewed the wife. I can't believe you did this. I can't believe you got this document. And Jacques had done some background on it to find out and to do exactly that. And no, it's come up nothing. So it was an inverted V, was basically like an A with two lines in the middle and one on top. And it was red. And I think it was like roughly 3 feet by 3 feet on the side of that white egg-shaped craft. It's funny, actually, because I was working extensively on this case and getting to know the case quite well, actually, like really well. And I feel like I know that case really, really well. Right after, wrapping up all my year's investigation on the Socorro case, I remember when Dave Fravor describes his encounter off the coast off the west coast, San Diego, and he calls it a tic-tac. I was like, well, tic-tac, white, kind of egg-shaped, kind of similar. I mean, oddly shaped egg perhaps, but it's kind of similar. 1964, it was white, shaped kind of like an egg. I don't know. Did they have Tic Tacs back in 1964? I don't know.
Apparently they did.
Say egg.
Yes.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
the similarities are right there. The only thing that throws me off about the Socorro case is
blue flame.
No, the noise.
Yes, but that noise stopped.
It did stop.
It only did it. Yeah, it rose to 20 feet off the ground, and the blue flame that was beneath it didn't hit the ground and stir up rocks and dust like a normal jet propulsion would do, flame from a rocket. It actually penetrated the ground like a knife through warm butter. It didn't stir anything up. It was a blue flame that went straight through into the ground. And when it got to about 20 feet, 15, 20 feet, 30 at the max, it shut off, and you could hear a pin drop. It was absolutely silent. I don't know if a lot of people know that or not, but that's a fact.
Yeah, and there one last thing about the Socorro case, and then we've got to hit a break. Is
sorry, I've been going on a little.
No, that's okay. That's okay. Is all of the documentation about the testing of the lunar lander, and when you go and you look at it, first off, they don't resemble each other, and back then, what they were testing with, I think what they call it, the LEV, is not covered with anything. It was just like an erector set. Right, that testing didn't actually kick off for another 6 months after Zamoro's sighting, and that was one of the things where they tried to push that. They tried to push it was the lunar lander.
The Air Force wanted nothing more than to provide a prosaic explanation for that case, and they researched and beat that one to death, and they were not able to do that. So that lunar lander story is absolute hogwash. If anyone thinks that it has anything to do with what Lonnie saw, it could that couldn't be further from the truth. So yeah, the lunar lander thing is then there was another thing about that, the Mine Institute, there's a college there, and some kids were playing a prank. That's total garbage. That's complete nonsense.
Let's take our break right here. Our guest tonight, the one and only James Fox. We're talking about his new film. It's a hit, The Phenomenon. I'm your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet. More with James after this short break. Stay with us.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Do you want to be an official Fadernaut? Of course you do. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black. Just go to our membership section at jimmychurchradio.com.
Old New England Soap is committed to producing the highest quality organic and goat milk soaps available anywhere. We take pride in using the purest ingredients and avoiding the typical shortcuts used by other soap makers. Because goat milk is what feeds your skin, we have formulated our soap to use the maximum amount of goat milk possible, 38%, more than double any other brand. Not because it's easy, but because our soap is always better. We are proud to offer you what we consider to be truly premium quality handmade soaps. What's more, our soap does not contain GMO ingredients, pesticides, sulfates, dyes, artificial colors, alcohol, or petroleum products. Try our new shampoo bar and pooch soap, and be sure to see all of the great scented woodwick soy candles that burn soot-free for up to 100 hours. Right now, save 15% on your order and get free shipping on orders over $45. Buy now at oldnesoap.com. That's oldnesoap.com. Not available in stores. oldnesoap.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
You listen to us, and we listen to you. And so does the CIA. KGRARadio.com.
Telepath is a weekly digital newsletter filled with the latest paranormal news, trending topics, and fresh articles from some of the most popular critical thinkers in the community today. Stay informed on your favorite paranormal podcasts and live streaming talk shows. Interact with the Telepath and upload your paranormal story or pics. It could be featured in an upcoming edition. Sign up right now for the free Telepath newsletter at paranormal.radio. That's paranormal.radio.
Including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, James Fox is here, talking about his new film, The Phenomenon. More with James in just a second. I want to remind everybody what I do here in the bunker, and that is I use Virtual Shield VPN. All of these computers, all of this great equipment, all this technology is protected by Virtual Shield VPN. I don't like being spied on by advertisers. I don't like being spied on by anybody, which is why I use Virtual Shield. Now, if you want to browse the internet, you want to do it anonymously, you want to do it securely like I do, there's only one solution, Virtual Shield VPN. It's simple to do. All you have to do is visit virtualshield.com/Fade to Black. You can go over to our website. All of the advertising is there. The banners are there. The links are there. Click. If you are watching this video right now, click on the link below in the description box. Very simple. Head straight over. Do it, and you will enjoy and get Virtual Shield VPN for free today. You've got to get it. Now, back to James Fox. James. Oh, man. I'm going to go right here. What is the deal with kids and schools and ET contact? The similarities between Westall and Ruwa, they cannot be measured. We can just stack them up on top of each other. Two cases, two different continents, extraordinary. What's the deal? Is there an agenda with ET when it comes to this kind of contact?
You know, there were a lot of other school landing cases that we were learning about, one in England, one in France, one in Los Angeles. Jacques was pointing some of these out.
Mm-hmm.
And, you can't help but wonder, you look into these cases. And by the way, the landing case, Westall, Australia, just outside, I think it's a suburb of Melbourne. That was, Shane Ryan and James Rigney that played a huge part in the whole UFO contingent in Australia to really help make that case a reality in terms bringing together all the witnesses and really helped facilitate that segment of the film. Truly grateful. But you every one of these landing cases I've looked into, and obviously there's a lot that I haven't looked into, but the objects were seen in and around the area for several days prior to landing, like with Rua, for instance, 1994 in Aerial School, Rua, Zimbabwe. It's just outside, I don't know, it's like 30 minutes outside the capital, Harare. That UFO had been seen in and around the area for several days by adults. We feature a little bit of that coverage, the newsreel footage from 1994 at the opening scene of that particular case. But it picked a school to land, and the same thing with Westall. And like I said, there's cases in in England and in France and in Port de Jacques, LA, and you can't help but wonder, hey, if you look, I've talked to military guys, lots of them all around the world, that anything whizzing around our airspace that's unknown, we generally have a fairly hostile position towards these things. We try to shoot them down, right? Shoot first, ask questions later. And so it's kind of interesting that they have landed at schools because, it seems to be a rather benign environment, right? A safe place to do it. And that was one of the comments that Jacques actually had made on Rogan's show, which I thought was really cool. And that is that, this isn't the right interpretation of having an aggressive, hostile stance towards UFOs. It's not right. It shouldn't be that way. Jacques had said, look, if they were here to destroy us, believe me, they could do it. They've demonstrated a technology that's vastly advanced from anything that we have. And so, one can only speculate, but it certainly seems to be, a likely scenario that, hey man, if I were there, whoever they are, I might pick a school to land too myself.
Now,
why not?
And there were a couple of things that made the case so special. I'm talking about Rua. And for me, it's the kids and their eyewitness testimony at that age and the drawings that they were able to produce. And some of them are just incredible. There's that. And then we have the footage that was shot in pretty good quality, by the way, that you were able to take advantage of. How fortunate was that to have happened?
Incredibly fortunate, and the footage was professionally done with Dr. John Mack and the film crew back in 1994, right after the incident occurred. A lot of people say, "Oh, there were 66 kids in the school ground that day." There are actually closer to 100. 66 of them went on camera, and Dr. John Mack from Harvard had a professional film crew there, and whatever technology there was at the time, it's probably digital cassette tape, mini DV or something. But we took that through a filter, which was a rather tedious. It took a lot of processing speed, but we cleaned it up even more. And then we hired a sound engineer, cleaned the audio up even more, and really made that footage pop. I remember someone who had some of the original footage, like, "Hey, did you get? Was yours different? Like, it looks a lot better than this stuff." No, we did a lot of processing to really make that stuff pop. The color correction. My buddy Boris Zubov does color correction, and no, it's incredible. I mean, the sheer the volume of eyewitness testimony from those children and matching their stories. I mean, some of the kids said there was hair, other people said there wasn't hair, but they all described these massive, big black eyes, diminutive bodies, small in stature. The UFOs, some of them had lights. This is a fascinating case, man. This is truly one of the most compelling close encounters of the third kind in world history, not just in Africa, anywhere. Show me a more compelling case.
Westall. They're both in the film.
Yes.
And staying on Ruwa for a second, how much?
Well, but Westfall wasn't a close encounter of the third kind, right?
No, that's the one difference. There's a lot,
Yes.
but that's one that
That's
stands
kind of
out.
a big difference.
It is. How much of the Mac footage did you have the opportunity to go through? All of it?
All of it. Every second. Yeah, it was a very, very tedious project. That was one of the most difficult edits. And I remember working with this guy, Walter Murch Jr. His father is a very famous film editor, worked with Lucas and Coppola. He worked on Apocalypse Now. And I don't know if we were like 6 months into it or 3 months into it. He was like, "Oh my God, there's just so much stuff. Like, I'm overwhelmed. How are we going to do this? We had 10 minutes to tell the whole story, maybe 12, but certainly no more than that." And we had adult interviews, with the children as adults 20 years later. We brought them together from all different corners of the world. And then, of course, I went to Africa and I met with more witnesses, and then a very brief meeting on camera with Judy Bates, who's now the head mistress. At the time was a school teacher. And we had to, whittle it down to 10 to 12 minutes. And it's quite a process, but it was a lot of fun to work on that case because it's just so moving, so compelling.
How easy was it to get her to come forward? Was she a hostile
Impossible.
witness? Yeah.
No, she was very nice. It was impossible. So she made it abundantly clear, look, you can do your shooting at the school grounds. That's fine. But I'm not going to participate, at all. And, hey, I respect that. No problem. Thank you for letting us film here. Thank you for letting us bring more of your former students to the landing site and do all that stuff. And I was standing outside with the local film crew. I hired local, and I see her come out of her office and start walking towards us. And she just had like a little bit of facial surgery. She'd had a little piece of something removed off her nose or her cheek or something. She had a fresh bandage on her face, and she came out and she said hello to the former students, and she started to talk about the case and her views on it. And I looked at the camera guys and I was like, turned the cameras and I said, "Judy, with all due respect, could you please, I value your statement so much. It'd be great if you could just say what you just said. Well, I don't see, what my contribution." It's like, "Oh, shit. Well, okay, fine." She just made the decision right then and there that she was going to say what she was going to say. And if you listen very carefully to what she says, you kind of have to read between the lines. But she basically confirms that she had confirmation. She lied about it. She was concerned more about her own career and her own experience. So she was processing her own experience. She had full confirmation that landing case took place, and
Now, that was 1994, so 25 years have passed if we go through to today. I don't know when you did your shooting in Ruwa, but
a couple years ago.
A couple of years ago. Okay, so 23 years have passed. How did it change these kids' lives as an adult? What were you able to pull from that?
They remember it like it was yesterday. It's etched in their memories. Look, it's one thing to see something unidentified in the sky. It's entirely another game when you've got a landed object and beams standing next to it. So that's a level of confirmation very few people will get, right? I've talked to a lot of witnesses around the world, and some very compelling cases up close to a landed UFO, but not that many people I've spoken with had seen bodies, entities standing next to the landed object associated with the UFO. And that's, especially at, some of the witnesses got within arm's length. I had to take a moment in the film, and actually, I think it was like after a year or maybe two of looking at that same segment over and over. I was like, I don't think this is landing the way it should. She says about a meter. And it kind of quickly edits, it goes on to the next scene. And I thought, I'm going to pause and really hit this one home here. A meter, that's 3 feet. That's like you could reach out and touch this being. That's that close. That's face to face. And I think a lot of people had missed that. And so I sort of paused and I defined a meter. And people are like, oh, James, you don't need to go to that length. But no, I thought I did. So I don't know if you remember that scene in the film where she says,
do.
She's being asked by a reporter. It was Salma Siddiq.
Yeah.
And Salma's amazing. And she's like a lawyer now. Amazing witness. And she said about a meter away. And it was like, holy moly. 'Cause a lot of Americans don't know what a meter is. I mean, it's not a lot of people do, but it's about 3 feet.
3 feet.
I paused and I spelled it out. And, some people might think that I was underestimating the intelligence. Not going to say the intelligence, but the knowing. But I thought it was important. That's a very important aspect of the encounter. This wasn't something they saw way off in the distance. This was like face to face. That's significant. That matters.
And not only was it a close encounter of the third kind, but there was communication too as well.
Mm-hmm.
And that coming, I don't know how a child understands, absorbs not only the significance of the moment, but how this communication is going down. As an adult, to recall this, you captured it so well on film, but what was going through your mind when you hear this kind of testimony?
It was one of the most amazing days of my life, spending time with those witnesses. I cannot, because look, I would say to them, look, you guys had such a rare experience. It's so rare that put me there. I just want to be there. What was it like? What did you see? Give me as much description as you possibly can. And to have the opportunity as a filmmaker to hear their testimony, see the archival footage of them as children, but then to meet them as adults and have time to process this whole incident and really think about it and then have the ability better to articulate what it was that whole experience was. It's one of the most amazing moments of my career, quite honestly. And I really wanted to be put in that spot. I wanted to know, what was it like to stare into the eyes of potentially a being from another world?
Yeah, it's incredible.
I want to be there.
Well, and you've been at the right place at the right time at a few points in your life, and certainly in this film. And one of those is the friggin' park bench in Australia. And we're going to get to that.
Oh my God!
Okay, listen.
I could write a book. I could write a book on that.
Oh man! And
I'm not kidding you.
I know.
I'm not kidding.
Well, now, and let's talk about Westall now. I very early on, I'm going to make this very brief. In some of the earlier shows here on Fade to Black, 6-7 years ago, I spent a lot of time on Westall, and for all of the right reasons. It was just an extraordinary case, and the more that I dived into it, the more that I learned, and it's just about as significant as it gets. And so now you jump into this case, and now we've got nearly the same situation where we've got the eyewitness, the children. Well, you had adults too, but and then you're able to turn around and interview some of them so many years later. What's your takeaway of Westall when you're interviewing the witnesses so many years later? Westall was 1966, so we've got a pretty good chunk of time now.
Had the beings, the alleged beings, exited the craft. In fact, I did a radio show while I was there. It was a pretty famous radio host in, I think it was Melbourne, or it might have been Sydney. I'm sorry, I'm trying to remember. But there was a call. It's a national show all across Australia. It's very widely listened to, very mainstream. And I was doing this radio show with this famous DJ, and he was either a musician or a rock star or something on top of it. So he was really popular. And a lot of people listened to his show. and a caller called in and said, I was there, and I saw a being in the forest standing next to, dressed in white, standing next to this. And I said, whoa, hey, what? Hey, get that person's contact. I didn't have time to follow up on that, but I can't speak anything more. But had that have been a close encounter of the third kind, in other words, if the witnesses had seen beings associated with that landed UFO just outside the playground in Westall, that case would be more compelling than Brua, because there were over 300 witnesses in broad daylight. It was like 10 o'clock in the morning, maybe 10:30 a.m. during recess, and the entire school, including the teachers, were standing out there looking at this UFO. Some of the students said there was more than one. I spoke at length with the science professor, the science teacher, and he felt that there was just one. But hearing his description of it, and there was a little cat and mouse that went on with some smaller, lighter airplanes. There was an airport just nearby, and that this disc was defying physics as everyone understood it. And then seeing it land, and then a handful of the kids jumping the fence and against the will of the teachers and running out to where this thing landed, and then getting within 10 to 12 feet of a landed UFO in broad daylight. I mean, that's just like, wow, that's amazing. And then, I get to meet this guy whose name I'm afraid I can't reveal, but he had taken a photograph of an object 2 days earlier, just like 17 kilometers away. And remember, a lot of times you have these instances, these UFO encounters, these objects are seen in and around the area for several days. This UFO had the description of this guy, first time he'd gone on camera in 50 years. The description of the flight characteristics, and it tips up on its side before it shoots off at an absolutely mind-boggling speed. And he snapped his Polaroid. He was in the garden with his Polaroid camera, and his chimney, and the sun reflected off of the object that was sort of descending down towards him and caused a flash, and that got his attention. And he looked up, and he saw this disc kind of floating, coming down. And he had his Polaroid camera in his garden because he was documenting some of his flowers and stuff for his mother. He was going to send these Polaroid pictures to his mother. And he said in his haste, he took the Polaroid camera up so fast that he hit himself so hard that he split his nose open, but his finger hit the button, and boom, he got the crap just as it tipped up on its side, took the photograph, and then it rocketed away. And I said, describe the acceleration. He said, like it being shot out of the barrel of a gun, just gone, instantaneous. And it was exactly the same description that all of the students that I talked to in Westall had described, that this object, the disc, would flip up on its side before it took off, okay? They all described the exact same thing, and that's exactly what he described. And then he captured a picture of it, dipped up on its side right before it took off.
Now,
great picture.
Now, as great as this film is, James,
I got to hold that picture in my hand.
That's right. Well, hold on. That's my question. You're always a step ahead of me, man. But is this as great as the film is, and it's a great film? Is that moment on the park bench worth the price of admission?
Are you kidding? Look, I remember, because we were all like, your audience eyes would glaze over if I told them like what it took to get this guy to that park bench. It was a monumental effort, and it was to share, to go on camera, to share the photograph, to let me hold that original Polaroid in my hands. And it was such one of those moments that the two guys, James Rigney and Shane Ryan, that were with me at the time, they were just as gobsmacked by it as I was. And I actually remember looking over at, I think it was James Rigney, and just going, dude, take a picture of this right now. Like, look at this. You got to document this moment. And he's like, of course. He took his camera out and he actually snapped a few snapshots, because it was one of those moments that don't occur very often, that but this is big.
Yeah,
This
it
is
never
really good.
happens. I remember I watched that scene over and over again, but the first time that I saw it, I was like,
Yeah.
whoa.
That was a moment. That was a moment.
Whoa.
No doubt about it.
Slow
Yeah, me too.
down.
Believe me.
Yeah.
There was a halo around that photograph, and time stopped as he passed it to me. I mean, all the thoughts that went through my mind, and the fact that he'd been sitting on that photograph at his home for 50 years, and how difficult it was to get him to come on camera for the first time in history and talk about it. I could write a book on it. I mean, Shane Ryan and James Rigney were there. They could tell you. I mean, it was an absolutely heroic effort, and it worked, and it happened, and it was just a miracle.
Now, real quick before we hit the break, I've got about 2 minutes, enough for you to respond. One of the standout things in Westall that I think everybody recognizes is that this was documented. You've got the local media, the local news. Everybody's coming out. They're going out to the school. This is like a big, big, big deal. And the frigging footage shot by the local news station, television, is missing. Now, is that just a come on? You know, what's going on here? But they've got all the other footage in history is there except for Westall.
You know, I think that was Channel 10, and I actually went on that show in Australia. You can find it online, James Fox Australia. And when I was there, I think I talked to one of the station program managers, this woman, I'm struggling for her name, but in any case, she had told me that they had tried to track that down and that the box for that footage was there, but the content was empty. And look, every single student that I talked to, now adults obviously, including the teacher, said that the military stepped in and shut it down. And not only that, one of the reasons why, you know, and the guy that took the photograph of it, he had military come to his house. He was from a very prominent family. He was an engineer. And he said, if I wasn't, I would have been steamrolled. If my father wasn't a very prominent figure and we were a prominent figure in the community. But the teacher reveals why it was that he didn't come forward for 50 years and what it took to get him to go on camera. I could write a book on that one too. James Rigney and Shane Ryan were there for that one as well. That was an absolute miracle. But he had military guys show up at his house like a day or two later, and they straight up intimidated him. Your career is over for XYZ. He talks about it in the film.
Now, didn't he had a camera, right? Didn't
I had heard that one of the school teachers had a camera out there taking pictures. And I heard that from a number of the witnesses that I interviewed, but nobody quite seemed to know what happened to the camera, what happened to the footage. So I don't know. You'd have to talk to Shane Ryan about that.
Oh, it wasn't the science teacher with the camera?
No, it was the woman teacher.
Oh,
I don't remember her name, but that's what I heard. But I definitely heard several students remembering that there was a camera and there was a teacher, the female with a camera. It might have been from the art department. I'm not entirely sure. That was taking pictures, yes. But I don't know. They didn't know what happened to the camera. But look, the military showed up very shortly thereafter. They cordoned off the landing site. They intimidated the witnesses. Even the principal. I mean, they shut that thing down. They came and stopped all the, I think it was Channel 10 that was doing interviews at the school at the time, shut it all down.
Now, real quick, I've got 15 seconds. And there is some controversy if it was the Australian military or if it was the United States Air Force, because the United States Air Force had a presence there too as well.
You know, we interviewed the science professor for the first time in 50 years on camera. He didn't want his face, but we interviewed him from behind, and he didn't give us the impression that it wasn't an Australian military. He didn't. I don't remember him saying it was definitely U.S. I remember he just saying military, and I think if it was U.S., he would have said it. I don't know. It doesn't mean the U.S. didn't get involved at some point, but he had visitors. A couple of people show up in suits, and one of them was in military with some stripes on his arm, and they were not there to jazzercise with him.
They were not. Our guest tonight is James Fox. We're talking about his new film. It is a hit. The documentary, The Phenomenon. You can go over to Amazon right now, all the streaming services, and check it out. We'll be right back after this short break. More with James after this. Stay with us.
Hi, everybody. This is Rob Halford, the Metal Guard on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station. Salt Lake City, Utah. Van Buren, Arkansas.
Why is it we're not very good with our health regimen until it's too late? We don't put oil in the car until the engine blows up. When the body's out of balance, your health is not so good. Give your body some love. Log on to GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com. Try our Life Change Tea, which cleanses you from harmful intruders. A clean colon is one of the ways to bring the body in balance. We also carry organic supplements to help you get where you need to go. So do your body a favor. Log on to GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com. You can even visit our sales page to save some dough. Does anybody call money dough anymore? Anyway, if you're looking for short, helpful health tips, go to YouTube and punch in Health Matters Now. That's Health Matters Now. So, log on to GetTheT.com, shop, get balanced, then learn some cool tips at Health Matters Now. You'll be glad you did. That's GetTheT.com.
Your contact for current news and trending topics. KGRARadio.com.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I only drink Fade to Black blend coffee from River Moon. Just click on the River Moon Coffee banner at jimmychurchradio.com. Promo code F2B Blend. Let's face it, you've always wanted to do a sky watch and see your first UFO. Today, it's easy. Just get your own HP7 3B Cobalt Jimmy Church Edition night vision goggles from Hoffman's Optics. This is the same U.S. military system that I use, featuring a Generation 3 blue phosphor image tube. That's right, it's blue, not black and green. This is the only blue system in the world, and it's waterproof, lightweight, combat-proof, simple to use, and ready to go. Hoffman's Optics helped create night vision sky watches, and now you can see what everyone has been talking about each night from your own backyard. Just call 760-231-9929. That's 760-231-9929. You can click on the banners on our site or visit UFONightVisionGoggles.com. That's UFONightVisionGoggles.com. Go back, Lee Tappy.
This is the only way forward.
This is Fade to Black. Make contact. KGRARadio.com.
When you're in the house for longer periods of time, you can see them flying or running across the floor. Ooh, yuck. They're unhealthy, gross, and disgusting. Bugs. I loathe bugs. We keep a clean home, but occasionally bugs show up. Well, I found something that is tougher than bugs. Orange Guard. On contact, it kills hidden bugs, including ants, roaches, and fleas. Plus, Orange Guard is a residual repellent. All of the ingredients of Orange Guard are on the FDA generally recognized as safe list. Orange Guard may be used around food, humans, and pets. It comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Orange Guard, available at orangeguard.com, Whole Foods, and Ace Hardware.
Telepath is a weekly digital newsletter filled with the latest paranormal news, trending topics, and fresh articles from some of the most popular critical thinkers in the community today. Stay informed on your favorite paranormal podcasts and live streaming talk shows. Interact with the Telepath and upload your paranormal story or pics. It could be featured in an upcoming edition. Sign up right now for the free Telepath newsletter at paranormal.radio. That's paranormal.radio.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why fade to black? Because you never got that pony, damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. What a great night. Tonight, James Fox is here, back with us. We're talking about his new film, The Phenomenon. And no spoilers. I don't know how we pulled that off. But before we get back to the film, James, I've got COVID hair. How's your hair doing? When's the last haircut?
Well, it's funny, actually. My partner, Rebecca, she's like, honey, you should let me cut your hair a little bit. I'm like, well, what do you mean? She's like, well, the top is kind of... So I've had, actually my first haircut was on our back porch, and it was like kind of an experiment. We brought out a bottle of wine. We made a whole thing of it, and just, chop for like 2 hours. Like, a little more to the right, a little more to the left, and finally, and so my hair, I would say COVID hair. Yeah. There you go.
A bottle of wine and a first-time haircut. That's not a good combination, but
it was fun. We had a great. It was memorable.
You know what I really enjoy today. Before we get back to the film, I like going to the market, wearing flannels. You don't care about your hair. You might put on deodorant. That's like a big step. But you go to the supermarket, nobody gives a crap anymore about the way they look. It's just really funny. Everybody knows we're in this boat together, and it's. I really enjoy it.
That is really funny. I take a moment sometimes and just sort of look around and think, God, this is so surreal. This is like a scene of a movie. Like this, wow. You know what I mean? And everyone's trying to stay in their own lane, and people don't really. I think they stopped giving a bleep.
I was
to a certain extent.
I was at the market 2 nights ago, and there was a mom there, and I'm not making any of this up. House coat, fuzzy slippers, and her 2 kids. Right? I was like, God bless you. She just didn't give a crap. She's like, okay, get in the car. We're going just like we are. Grab your face mask. And I want to say this to everybody. Right now, it's the holidays. It's the season. And out of any time in history, this is the time to go out of your way to give. And I came home the other night, and I came up to Rita, and I said, something. I like to help people out. I just do. It's in my nature, and I can't help myself. And I get my daughter said, "Can you put gas in my car and do some stuff before I go to work tomorrow?" I said, "Yeah, absolutely." Right. So I drive her car up to the gas station, and I get out, James. And the second I get out of the car, there's a guy standing there, and he goes, "Hey, man," I said, "I don't have any cash on me." And it just came out of my mouth, and I just felt like such an ass. And he goes, "I just want a sandwich." And I said, "I'm going to hook you up." Right? So I go in, and I get the gas and stuff. And I walk through, I get this guy 2 sandwiches, a bag of chips, and a big bottle of Gatorade, right? And I get some cash from the clerk there. And I walked out, and I walked up to him, and I said, "Here." I said, "There you go, man. Some sandwiches, some chips, and a drink. Do you need anything else?" And it was like the stupidest thing to come out of my mouth. This guy needs everything, right? And he looked at me and looked right in my eyes. He said, "I need lots of stuff, man." I said, "Well, here's some cash. And I just want you to have a wonderful, wonderful, if there's something else I could do, I would do it." He said, thank you so much. I went back and I'm pumping the gas, James, and I looked over and there are other people walking by him and nobody's saying anything. And that dude had ate that first sandwich. He was, and I got in my car and I had a lump in my throat and I'm like, man, we have so much to be thankful for. You know, I've got COVID. I messed up my life, my family, things, my kids. Our life got turned upside down. Nothing compared to what this guy is dealing with, standing out in the cold, 3 days before Christmas.
I had, about 2 months ago, I pulled up late at night to a gas station, and there was a family with a old SUV, and the guy, and I was inside the store, the mini mart, getting some coconut water or something, and I see the guy trying to pay. He didn't have a credit card, and he was, I think he put down like $3.50, as much gas as he could get, and he walked back out. And I said to the clerk, I want to fill this guy's tank.
Fill it up.
And, fill it up. I've so been there before. I know exactly what it's like when you can't even afford a gallon of gasoline. You're like putting quarters and a couple dollars on the table. And so I said, I'd like to fill that gentleman's tank, please, and it was like, oh, okay, just put $50 on it, and whatever's left over, just have him keep, and then I went out and I walked to my car and I said, hey, the woman's got something for you in there. You need to go talk to her. And then I left. And I just think, it was such a nice feeling that I was in a position that I could do that, and what a privilege it was for me. And if I could make, one person's life a little better, knowing that someone out there, actually a stranger, cares. And it's a wonderful thing to do. And if you can, it's just a wonderful, wonderful thing to do. And every little thing counts. And treat each other with kindness and respect. I think that's what it's all about. Quite honestly.
Right now, this is, and no matter what, James, no matter what, how messed up your life is, right? No matter how, and it's probably pretty messed up. There's somebody else out there that's really, really in a bad position. And that's really the truth. And it doesn't matter what level you're at. It just doesn't matter. There is somebody else out there, and that just needs you to say hello and recognize them and just reach out. That's all. It's those little things. And
I remember, I did a film. I did a short little film on homelessness when I was in my early 20s, and I went and lived with followed around people in different cities. When I would travel with my father, I would take my camera out on his expense. He'd be working for different magazines, and I would take my little pocket camcorder out, and I would go and follow around some of these people living in the streets. And I met this woman, Pearl Ann Ryan. I'll never forget her. And she had this box in New York City, Alphabet City, I think it was. And they had a little candle on the inside, and that kept her warm. And she said to me, James, the worse off you are, the worse off people look at you. In other words, the more you need help, a helping hand, the less likely you are to get it. And that always stuck with me. She left, I think about Pearl Ann Ryan all the time.
It's amazing. It's amazing how so many people in those positions become invisible, right? Just invisible, right? Yeah. And it kills me when I see, people just walk by them and not recognize. Man, that's the first thing out of my mouth. How you doing? How are you doing? And it's so to see them so surprised because nobody's said hello to them in probably days. It's just not right. And so, this is it. This is the time to just reach out. Just go and do it. All right. Now I want to reach out to you. The tone is set for the film, James, from the word go. You don't mess around. The film doesn't take 30 minutes to ease in. You come out blazing with the opening sequence, of course, and I'm talking about the World War II bomber that you're flying around in, which is cool enough, right? That's cool. high def, right? The drama.
I wanted to do a cold open like James Bond.
Or I was thinking more like Peter Sellers, Stanley Kubrick.
You know those really cool like
Dr.
those opening
Strangelove.
action scenes?
Yes.
It's a car chase or dramatic airplane chase or I thought, gosh, how fun would it be to start off with a really dramatic encounter with the real plane. I mean, I've never ever had a budget. I mean, to be able to rent a B-25 bomber and do a recreation
now
on one of the most dramatic UFO encounters. I mean,
that's my point, and I've got to interrupt
Coleman,
you. I'm going to be rude because I'm going to let you tell the story. But it's
fine.
The drama of this B-25, and then it's tied into this pilot with one of the most extraordinary UFO sightings and encounters, maybe in history, that nobody has heard this case before. Take us through that.
Well, what makes it so incredible is that who the person was. It was Colonel William Coleman. He was a colonel in the Air Force. He was a World War II pilot. He had this incredibly dramatic UFO encounter in 1955 while piloting a B-25 bomber over Alabama. And he was carrying this airplane, I think, to a place in, I want to say either Florida or he started in Florida, ended up. But in any case, he was with a couple of engineers from Boeing and Lockheed in the plane with him. And the duration of the encounter was roughly 9 minutes. It starts at about 9,000 foot elevation when they see this thing that they're unable to recognize. It crosses across their flight path, and they're all looking at this object. It's a disc. It has no wings, no tail, no exhaust ports of any sort. They're all scratching their heads going, what the hell is this? So they pursue it. And he even says to me, Colonel Coleman, he says, yeah, I was traveling at maximum continuous power. And I said, well, what does that mean? He goes, well, basically, if I go any faster, I'll blow the engines up. And we were started off at 9,000 feet, ended up at treetop level. And they got so close to colliding with this object, this disc. They were looking at it. I mean, they thought they were going to hit it, that they had to take evasive action. And he said, if I would have just turned the plane to the right to avoid hitting this disc, we were so low, our wing would have clipped the trees. So I had to lift up, which we momentarily lost sight of it, and then turn the plane bank hard to the right to avoid colliding, what they thought colliding with this disc. And a beat later, there it was, going across this recently plowed field, and it was so low to the ground, it was causing swirls of dirt on either end of the disc. Little swirls. Like we do a recreation in there, and they were all just absolutely baffled as to what they were looking at. And they land the airplane. They lost sight of it. They land the airplane. They were all, Project Blue Book was in full swing at the time. It was 1955. And they were all debriefed. They were all separated, and they all gave, detailed accounts of reports of what they'd seen. And even the officer that investigated this case said, "Wow, it was incredible because you guys' description was just exact. Like everybody saw exactly the same thing. It was remarkable, and they were trained observers as well." Well, fast forward a little over a decade later, Colonel William Coleman was put in charge of Project Blue Book. He was like public spokesman for Project Blue Book, which was the investigatory arm for the Air Force in the UFOs. And he even said, "Whoa, hold on a second. You might not want to put me in this position." They're like, "What's the problem?" He goes, "Well, I had this encounter." And they said, "Well, okay, what did you determine?" He's like, "Well, I don't know what it was. I saw, you'll be perfect." So the first thing he goes to do when he gets put in charge of Project Blue Book is he goes to find his report. Well, guess what? It's not there. It's not in part of the files. Because if you think about it, the more compelling, the more unambiguous, the better qualified the observer, the less likely it was ever going to see the light of day. you can't just explain that away as swamp gas or misidentified aircraft or weather balloons or, you know what I mean? And so it's a really compelling case. And I don't know, other than maybe audio only, I don't think anyone had ever sat him down 60-minute style and done a proper interview. And we did that. And I remember at the time, we were very early stages of production. I think it was like 2013. And I looked at my buddy, David West, who's also the DP, and I said, this is going to be an opening scene of the movie. And he was like, oh my God, yeah, this is amazing. And lo and behold, all those years later, we rented that plane, we got the money together, and that was it. And it's a really powerful segment of the film. I think it is. I don't hear that many people talk about it. I think they're so blown away by the Rua case at the end that they kind of forgot about that opening scene with the B-25 bomber. But that's a really cool case.
Yeah, the film is actually very fast-paced. There's a lot of information in there, and you could have expanded, removed stuff and gone into more detail, or did this rapid fire for me, which is what I loved about the film so much, is that it just goes bam, 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 bam. And the last thing that I want to talk about tonight, of course, is Harry Reid. And I don't think, and I want your opinion, of course, I don't think Harry was holding much back. Did anything hit the cutting room floor? What did it?
Oh my God, are you kidding?
Well, did he approve? Did he say too much, or do you think that he was holding back?
I think initially he was holding back a little bit, and we started things got loosened up. He was feeling me out. I was feeling him out. I mean, it was a very, pinch myself moment, and I have George Knapp to thank for that. He was working diligently behind the scenes for months to make that happen. We had a very brief window of opportunity that opened and that he agreed to. And again, your audience would be bored to death if I told how that eventually came about, but it did. And I had to pinch myself, like, wow, I mean, Harry Reid's a household name. I mean, Senate Majority Leader. And I didn't want to screw it up by going beyond his comfort level, and I didn't know exactly where that was. And as the interview started to progress, I want to say it was about 30, 35 minutes into it, I started to push the envelope a little bit, and he responded favorably and made some revelations that truly swept me off my feet, took my breath away. And in fact, the most incredible tidbit that he shared, he didn't share during the sit-down interview because, quite honestly, I neglected to ask. But he had a very, like when he showed up, he had his little entourage, he had security detail. I mean, he was like, when Harry Reid arrived, you knew someone very important was in the room.
Sure.
And I'd asked him, I said, hey, because I knew he was leaving. I want to say he gave me 48 minutes. I was like very precise, very regimented. He showed up right on time and he left exactly when he said he was going to leave. And I said, hey, about a minute or two prior to him leaving, I said, would you mind terribly if we got a quick B-roll shot? He totally understood, of us, kind of a walk and talk. And great. I don't have time to set the lights and the audio gear. So we're just going to get what we're going to get. The camera will pick up whatever audio it picks up, and that'll be that. And I was walking with him in this hallway. I figured, well, here I am walking with Senator Harry Reid. I got to ask him, hey, what was one of the more astonishing aspects of that you uncovered during this 10-year project at ATIP, the Advanced Threat Identification Program at the Pentagon? And without hesitation, he was like, not only that these objects were seen over super sensitive nuclear weapons facilities, but in some instances they were actually interacting and shutting off these nuclear missiles. And he said, if the president on a number of occasions wanted to launch, could have done it. And having that level of confirmation was a wow moment. And that actually added the better part of a year, because we reached out to Robert Hastings, and Robert Hastings, bless his heart, made all of his material available to us, and we did about a roughly 10-minute segment of UFOs and nukes in the film.
What's next? Are we going to have to wait 7 more years? And
no.
And before you answer that, originally 701 was the project. This is not 701. Are we going to see 701 in the future?
Well, 701 was a working title, and I'd gone through a number of partners, producers, financial backers. I mean, look, this was a better part of 7.5, 8 years from concept to completion to delivery. You finish a film, people think, oh, good, the movie's done. Let's get it out there. But that's a whole process. Once you finish a film, you've got to do things called E&O insurance. That's really tedious. You've got to do, all the color correction and all the deliverables. A lot of times, a distributor will have a very stringent set of rules which you have to adhere to multiple versions of the film and split audio channels and different prints and high def and standard def, and wow, it's quite a process. So lots of stuff ended up on the interim floor, and I would often say, but you're so exhausted at the end of this process, you can't even imagine, you just want to just almost die. A lot of stuff ends up at the interim floor. I mean, you have to do this very tough process. We would jokingly say, kill your darlings in the studio. And that was true because nobody knows what it took to get a lot of this, content. And then you just have to just get rid of it. You've got tens of hours of, hundreds of hours of material. You have to whittle it down to 90 minutes, 100 minutes. So I'd always had in the back of my mind, I can't just let this stuff rot. I owe it to myself to do something more, further with all this wonderful material. Give you another example. I mean, Varginha. I went to Varginha 4 times. That's the Brazil, the Roswell of Brazil, 1996. Incredible case. I didn't believe it when I first started investigating it, but I fully believe it now that there was a crash and that there were beings that survived the crash, and that those beings were witnessed by people in broad daylight. And I interviewed lots of them on camera. None of that ended up in the movie. None of it, not even a second of it. So you're sitting on all this stuff, so inevitably you have to do something with it. And I've also been contemplating, I want to sit back and enjoy the fruits of my labor after all this time and all this stress and getting over PTSD and all that stuff. But at the same time, I recognize this unique opportunity that the spotlight is on us right now. It doesn't last long, it's fleeting, and that we have an obligation to keep pushing, not to lose the momentum and the people around us that we all work well together. And so, that will continue, and there'll be more things, some very exciting announcements and things, I think, in 2021.
Well, when you look back and you consider some of the momentum from the past, and certainly the things that Larry King was doing, and you were always very visible in the media. What feels different now in this timeline, right? Where it's not 2020, it's this point in history where the media, it's not just Larry King doing a special twice a year, right? We've got this out in front. We've got the Senate talking about it. We've got Trump talking. It's out there now. What feels different today than some of the glory days in the past?
One of the things that I've noticed, and we can tip our hat to TTSA, Christopher Mellon, Lou Elizondo, the New York Times, that really changed. Everything changed at December of 2017 when that front page article. And, Christopher Mellon has, in a very nice way, he's kind of criticized the New York Times for not having grasped the bigger picture, and that was the fact that there are these unknown objects whizzing around our airspace with impunity, and that they don't appear to be from this world. That was a more explosive story as far as he was concerned. They sort of pinned the whole article around the fact that there was a secret UFO Pentagon program, and that was, so he felt they kind of missed a much bigger opportunity. But baby steps, and I wouldn't even say baby steps. That was I think that the climate changed forever after that. I mean, I know because I've been ridiculed and laughed at for decades, and I have people that are very serious, established, respected people from around the world that are actually reaching out that used to laugh at me and now saying, my God, James, there really appears to be something to this. This is something else. These people cannot be laughed out of the room. This evidence is incredibly compelling. We're taking a second look here. And then you see people like, Senator Reid not only participating in this film, but publicly endorsing it. People from the CIA, people like Lou Elizondo. I don't think we've experienced that before. So it's a very exciting moment, and I'm it's just an honor and a privilege to play a small role in it, and I'm very excited. And like I said earlier, I feel there's an obligation to keep the pressure up, and this is not the time to let off.
No, you deserve the position that you're in right now, and I'm very excited not only for the film and to see it get released, but for you after so many years invested into this, where you are able to just sit back and kind of enjoy the moment. And for all of that, James, we thank you so much. And 2021 is now here. Let's go enjoy it and get this world turned back around.
Thank you, and I really appreciate you having me on the show. And I want to say one last thing, and I'll shut up. If you guys, if anyone out there wants to help, rating the documentary on iTunes or Rotten Tomatoes is extremely helpful to us. Take a moment. If you rent the film, obviously rent it from the cheapest platform. You can get it for a couple bucks. If you decide you want to buy the movie, definitely go to Vimeo or iTunes. If for the same price, you get 3 hours of bonus material. For whatever reason, they were the only two platforms that would take the 3 hours of material that I provided. And again, it's the same price you buy it anywhere else, except if you get it from iTunes or Vimeo, you get 3 hours of bonus material with the movie. That's pretty cool.
Wait a minute. I didn't get 3 hours of bonus material.
I keep forgetting to tell people about that.
No, I expect it in my Dropbox in about 20 minutes.
Sorry.
What kind of crap is that, James?
I forget to mention this, but people need to know, if you're going to buy it, if you're going to spend the $12 or whatever it is, definitely buy it from iTunes or Vimeo. Look, I offered it for free for no extra cost at all platforms, but there are only two that are willing to do that for us. And that's, again, iTunes and Vimeo.
Man, I'm going to ghost you again. And see, the thing...
I'm sorry.
See, Ghost was supposed to be out of our lives. I think it's just re-entered. James, thank you so much, my friend. Thank you for everything. I look forward to not only future shows, but hanging out. And again, happy holidays to you and the family, and say hello to Ollie for me, okay?
Same to you and to all your listeners. Thank you. We're in this together.
James Fox. It's very simple. ThePhenomenonFilm.com is the website. You can follow James right there on Twitter at James Fox. The film is out on Amazon and, of course, Vimeo. Go and get it. 3 hours of bonus footage. Don't forget about that. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. I'll be right back after this short break. Thank you, James. Have a great holiday.
Thank you for having me. Bye.
The very best. I'll be right back. Stay with us.
Here, and you are listening to my boy Jimmy Church on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter. But listening to Jimmy Church will.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I take Life Change Tea supplements every single day. It's what I do. Click on their banner at jimmychurchradio.com. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Yes, River Moon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep. Sweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy.
Hello, my name is Billy Carson, and I am a best-selling author and the founder of ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Together with my team, we have built an all-new conscious streaming TV platform designed with every family member in mind. If you have ever wanted to travel the world and attend lectures and workshops from your favorite speakers but weren't able to, look no further. ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. There are dozens of workshops and lectures from speakers you know and love. We have also included amazing categories to assure that your consciousness is entertained and elevating on a daily basis. Amazing interviews, ancient history, ascension knowledge, wisdom teachings, documentaries, conspiracies, mysteries, health and fitness, conscious cooking, meditations, finance, yoga, and so much more. To start your free trial on any mobile device or computer, surf to ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. That's Forbidden Knowledge with the number 4, ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Again, visit ForbiddenKnowledge.tv today.
The older we get, the more important it is to stay active and healthy. I exercise regularly, eat right, but recently some new aches and pains have really put a cramp in my routine. A good friend recently told me about Angioprim. She said Angioprim is the original liquid oral chelation supplement, helping people since 2003. Chelation helps remove toxins, heavy metals, calcium, and cholesterol in veins and arteries that may cause blockages and lead to unexplained pain. Research shows the active ingredient in Angioprim has superior oral chelation action that may help promote good cardiovascular health. After a few weeks of taking Angioprim, my pain was gone. Now I'm back and more physically active than ever. Find out more. Go to angioprim.com, ANGIOPRIM.com, or talk to a trained consultant. Call Angioprim right now, 954-882-7221. That's 954-882-7221.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now. The Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRARadio.com.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I want to thank James Fox for coming in tonight. Christmas week here on Fade to Black. I've opened up the phone lines, 747-228-2051. 747-228-2051. I want to get some of your reactions to this news about TTSA and how you feel about this, and for a lot of different reasons, and I'll get back to that in a second, but 747-228-2051. And while I'm waiting for the phones to cycle through,
I want to talk about the phenomenon for a minute. I know I mentioned a few times during the show tonight that I was privileged to watch this film in development, and I can't stress that enough. James shared with me over the last 2 or 3 years clips of the film. And honestly, wanted my opinion, and it wasn't. And this is what was really cool. It wasn't about the content, the cases. That came much later. He was so concerned about the imaging, how it looked, and how the edits. He was so concerned about that, and for me. And I just love film, right? I live here in Hollywood. I love film. And that's always my first take is the technical side of things. I'm looking at the imaging. If the content is good, but today the production value is not there, there's too much good stuff out there. You really got to bring your A game. And James was so concerned about that. And in some instances, I wanted to talk about these cases individually, but he kept pushing away from that. He wanted to know that was such a high priority for him. And he mentioned this tonight briefly, but he had said, this is the first time in my life, and I've been doing this for so long. It's the first time I've had a little bit of a real budget where I was able to get cameras. I was able to get the right DP. I was able to go out and shoot on location in such dramatic fashion with the best gear possible. And I just want to make sure, Jimmy, that you see that. Do you see it? And I did. And I saw it package for package coming in. And watching, and I thought, man, once this gets edited together, because I was getting it in packets. Once this gets assembled, this is going to be extraordinary. This is going to take things to the next level. And I was able to go through all of those stages. And I am here to say, this film is like no other that's been done before in ufology, and that includes his past work. But it is at another level. It's cinematic, the soundscape, and that part of it, and the music it's just incredible. And so I want to say this: James knew how good the film was, and 1091, who was working with this all the way through, knew how good the film was. So they decided to absolutely take this into a full theatrical release, and it was 700 screens, and it was 900, then it was 1,000, like he said, then it was 1,200, there was 1,400 screens, full national release. And this doesn't happen for our community. And we were fired up. Everything was go, the premiere and things. And COVID happens. And after all of that effort and everything that James, he left it all on the table, man. He did. And after all of that, the rug completely pulled out from under him because of the pandemic and theaters getting shut down in the country. And the film is done. It's finished. The relief is there. And then that happened to him. His spirits are high today because he knows how good the film is and the reaction, and he is able to just enjoy it. But I got to say, watching this get developed over the last 2 or 3 years and to have the theatrical release, because I was excited. I was excited for the community. I was excited for the country and the world to be able to go into theaters and see this on the big screen. Oh, man. And not to say that still can't happen. I would love, once the theaters open back up, that that maybe this film could get back into a re-release and a theatrical release. So let's keep our fingers crossed there. But the film is absolutely incredible. I feel like I have stuff invested into this film personally because I was able to see it assemble and get put together. So the film is The Phenomenon. Go and check it out on Amazon, on Vimeo, whatever your streaming platform is, and go and support this absolutely great project. I want to thank James Fox for coming in tonight. He last week he's on Rogan, right? This week he's on Fade to Black. Oh man. Yeah, it's that cool. All right, with that, 747-228-2051. Let's go to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Hey, Jimmy, it's Carrie from Palm Springs. How are you?
Hi, Carrie from Palm Springs. How are you? You ready for the holidays?
This year just doesn't really seem like a festive year, but I'm grateful the holidays are here, and it's almost 2021, so that's my festive mood, is looking forward to the new year.
Yeah, it feels a little different. There's no denying that. I mean, for all of us. I'm just trying to get myself in the mood, right? That's it. We have to, right? We have to.
Absolutely.
We've all been bummed out. We've all been bummed out for so many months.
I know. Well, I'm grateful you and your whole family are well and through COVID. So that's really, really wonderful news that you're doing so well. I love your host, James Fox. I saw his film, Phenomenon. I'm really PO'd now that I know there's 3 hours out there, so I'm going to go buy it.
Well, what do you think?
The other 3 hours.
After you listen to James tonight speak about the film and you have seen it,
yes.
It's pretty cool to know that he was that passionate about putting this film together.
Absolutely. But you could really see that come through in the film. I mean, he put a lot of detail into it, and it's like a painstaking, succinct chronicle of basically the best UFO experiences ever documented. And it's an amazing film, and I'm so appreciative of his hard work to bring it to film. And I'm bummed that he didn't get the theatrical release, but I'm hoping as things start to come together after the new year that he'll have that opportunity, because it's really a remarkable film, and it really puts ufology and those that have had experiences on the map and gives us so much credibility, because these amazing, experiences that these individuals have had are just so remarkable and undeniable. And it's really quite amazing.
Now, one of the things that I really enjoyed doing tonight was turning it around on James and asking him what his favorite part of the film was. Because there's so much in this film to take in and absorb. I'm going to ask you the same question. What was your favorite moment?
God, seeing the Socorro event is really one of my favorites, and to see Lonnie's wife interviewed, and footage of her, and that was really moving to me, and then the children from Westfall that were, adults later, and then he finally got the head mistress on that was reluctant to even be filmed years ago. So I don't know, it was so powerful, but I guess, I don't know, I really love the Socorro event. I felt that is really a very powerful sighting.
I know.
And I know that's the one that turned Hynek around.
It was. And you know what's really funny for you to say that is his treatment of the Socorro case is so extraordinary for a case that most of us are familiar with. But he certainly takes it to a whole nother level, and you come away from that just blown away by how significant the case is. But that's how good that segment of the movie is, to put that at the level of Ruah, because and Westall, and the opening sequence in the film too as well, and that includes Harry Reid, and that includes Chris Mellon, who had these tremendous moments in the film. But the Socorro segment is unbelievably great.
It really is. I mean, with that little extra nugget of how he was told to, not really reveal the true markings on the craft, and then that they, uncover the actual written paper where Lonnie wrote down the real emblem or whatever it was, and how they flipped it upside down or whatever. I mean, that was just like such a nugget. You wouldn't get anyplace else but seeing this film.
Yeah, and you've got the original. You've got the Air Force guys there. You've got Zamora's boss and how he arrived at the scene. All of that being brought out. It's a truly edge of your seat filmmaking, and he really did take it to that level. But all right, let me ask you this, and going back to Ruah, and the reason why I think that is,
I love that. That's my Ruah, Westfall, and Socorro are my three favorite. I mean, they're just amazing.
Now,
so yes, I'm glad you bring this up, because
people outside of the UFO community, they've never heard of Ruah. People outside of the UFO community have never heard of Westall. And and so for people to learn about ufology, this isn't Roswell, right? Most people have heard of Roswell. Right. This is a totally different approach to filmmaking. And when you go and you see that Ruah segment and thinking about these are kids, and you get to see them as adults. Just an unbelievable case for the world to see, let alone somebody like you, but the rest of the world that has no idea that cases like this are occurring around the world in our elementary schools.
Absolutely. And, I was a child when I had my experience. I was 9, almost 10 years old. So it really sang to me, as from my experience, to see that these other children had the very same experience, and to see their interviews as adults, it really, I feel a kindred soul to them, because, I know what it's like as a child to have an experience, and then now to be an adult so many years later, and how you look back on your life and the effect it's really had. And so they were really meaningful interviews to me, and the two elementary school events were really powerful to me. And it's so curious as to why these crafts are attracted to, maybe the innocence of children. I don't know, but that really was something that really pulled at my heartstrings, and I was so grateful to see that covered in such beautiful detail. And that was really just, there's so many points in the film that I'd say that's worth the price of admission, but it's all of it. I mean, you could watch 5 minutes of that film, and I would say it's worth the price of admission, because there's so many good points and information in it. And anybody who has no idea about this whole subject, if they were to see this as like their introductory, it would be really a good film for them to see, because it's such an accurate kind of timeline chronicle of the biggest cases or the most famous cases. And it's some that are not quite famous, obviously.
Now, I wanted to ask you, for me, it's that park bench in the Westall segment, and even for James, because you can see James's reaction. But as a viewer, right, you're watching this film, and that moment on the park bench happens. What went through your mind?
It's just such an authentic moment, and it just brings home just the authenticity, and this is real, people. I mean, when you're someone that had this experience as a kid, and now you get to see a feature film highlighting it with such, such grace behind it. It just makes you feel finally heard. And it's just really it's a beautiful moment and a beautiful film.
Why do you,
from my point of view?
Yes. And one last quick question. We're at the end of the show, but I want to get this in. That in the Westall case, there were the reports from many witnesses about the military pulling into town, right? And then you have the military's total denial of even knowledge of anything that went down in Westall. You can't have that both ways. There were too many witnesses, and this isn't imagination, is it? Is that a conflict for you? Are you buying the military side? Or are you listening to the kids and the other eyewitnesses?
Well, the kids, of course, this is common, look the other way, we weren't here, or it's a weather balloon or swamp gas, all of that. So, that's just par for the course. It almost gives it more credibility, in my opinion.
Is this the best UFO documentary that you have seen yet?
Yes, it is. Absolutely. It just, you can tell the painstaking time, energy, and effort, blood, sweat, and tears he put into it, because it's really like I said, it's like a chronicle of all of the cases, and I don't know, it's fabulous, and I highly recommend it.
Carrie, thank you so much. Try to enjoy your holidays. Just go, come on, pick it up a level. Yeah. Pick it up.
Okay.
All right.
All right, Jimmy, you stay well, and talk to you in 2021, maybe.
Yeah, I hope we do that. Enjoy the rest of your night. We'll see you tomorrow night.
Okay, take care. Good night.
And I think that's a pretty good, honest review. To say that you can feel and see the emotion and the dedication that's put into this. You really do. And it is cinematic. See, this is the thing today. So much good production out there, right? And if you've got just a little bit of talent, you can kick things up. Production value is everything today. This film has got that. I'm way too critical. Tonight after the show, what are we... I'll talk about this more tomorrow. George Clooney's got a new film that is coming out tomorrow. I'm going to talk about that on the show. But there are things like The Expanse is now out, season 5. Have you seen that? The production value of that, right? And it's just another series. And that's where the phenomenon is right now. It's got that kind of competition. You've got to bring the best, and that's what James has done. So with that, I'm going to get out of here. I'm really looking forward to tomorrow night. We've got Ronnie Dugdale on the show for the first time live from the UK. And just like other cases, we are all familiar with Rendlesham. What Ronnie did for John Burroughs and his new book was to completely, painstakingly put together a full timeline of the Rendlesham Forest incident. And we're going to be going through that and so much more tomorrow night here on Fade to Black. I want to thank James Fox for coming in. The website is simple. It is thephenomenonfilm.com. You can go and check that out. The links are over at jimmychurchradio.com. Fade to Black's executive producer is Rita Camarian. Show is produced by Hilton J. Palm, Renee, Dennis, and Kevin. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vito, and Mark D. Kovar. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music, Doug Aldridge. Intro, Spaceboy, spaceboymusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network, and syndication is KGRA, The Planet. This broadcast is owned and copyrighted 2020 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network, Inc. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black of the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Until tomorrow night with Ronnie Dugdale, I want everybody to be safe. Fade to black.